Chapter 2041, Main God Fragment. Chapter 2041, Main God Fragment. How powerful was the Celestial Emperor? Even if it wasn't part of the rules set by the Sovereign. But in the instant he was entangled by the law energy of the Sovereign, he quickly transformed and absorbed it. In but a few seconds, he had completely mastered the law energy of 100,000 planes. This was why he could so easily break through. The surge of energy in the void brought the world he was in back to him. The crushing pressure of the heavens. Who could resist? Shadow of Main God? He couldn't stop it at all. Long Fei was ecstatic. Explode, explode, explode. So what if you are a sovereign? You F***er. Why don't you show me your arrogance now? Huh? The Sky Emperor did not let him down. The system did not let him down either. The call system is interesting. Ha ha ha. Shadow of Main God was crushed speechless. Incomparable rage. In front of 100,000 faces, he was a paragon, yet he was the one to be crushed. This was a humiliation to him. The Sovereign said in a deep voice, Long Fei, once my real face returns, it will be your funeral. Just you wait. Rumble. A loud sound echoed as Shadow of Main God, who was in the air, suddenly exploded. Long Fei's heart tensed up. Exploded? Did he escape? Long Fei was a little nervous in his heart. This was the Shadow of Main God, and although he was not a real face, he was still a sovereign, the most powerful being in the world. At least a main artifact or something like that would have to be found, right? Long Fei waited excitedly. At this time, as expected, the system beeped. Long Fei's heart tightened. His heart was blooming with joy. As long as it exploded, then it would definitely be a holy artifact that could defy the heavens. Ha ha ha. Come on, Great Master System, come on. Ding! Congratulations to player Long Fei for killing Shadow of Main God, for obtaining 1 experience, 1 holy power value, 0 metamorphic energy value. Hearing this, Long Fei immediately pointed his middle finger at the system. Fuck, are you F***ing messing with me? The system sounded out once again. Ding! Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining Main God Fragment. This is another godly horse. Does the Main God Fragment have an egg for it? Long Fei looked at the Main God Fragment's attribute, and his entire being seemed to be in a bad state. Your sister, you still can't use your metamorphic energy value to reinforce her? What's the use of it? Should I use it to forge equipment? Yes. Just use you to refine. My Yama Edge can still be inlaid. Just use your Main God Fragment to level it up. Perhaps you can even tell me the level of the main artifact. Long Fei did not know. How strong were the Main God Fragment? The reason why it was unable to use metamorphic energy value to strengthen it was because its current level was already one of the strongest existences in 100,000 planes, and it was no longer able to break through. The Shadow of Main God in the sky exploded. Long Fei obtained a Main God Fragment. At the same time, all the gods in Main Temple moved. To them, if they could obtain 1 Main God Fragment, it was equivalent to obtaining 1 main artifact. However, not waiting for them to enter the primordial divine battle dimension, the figure of a disciple from the Night King Valley flashed. After stopping for half a minute, he held a crystal-clear piece in his hand. God's Mountain. Zhan Wushuang was wild with excitement. Main God Fragment. Ha ha! Main God Fragment. With it, my God Shield, my defense law, my law of fate. Even the soul controlling will receive a powerful boost. Ha ha! Long Fei, I really have to thank you. Zhan Wushuang laughed wildly. No one expected Long Fei to be able to kill Shadow of Main God. He was so berserk that he even killed sovereigns. This was challenging 100,000 planes, and this was making the world even more of an enemy. Black-robed destiny God slightly said, with the Main God Fragment, my cultivation would be even faster. Zhan Wushuang laughed, now, and the soul of the Sky God. Zhan Wushuang frowned. What he wanted was not just the power of the 3 great laws, but more power of law. He wanted to be the most powerhouse in this world. He wanted to become a sovereign. The Main God Fragment has disappeared. Both of them disappeared. How can this be? Who took it? The Main Temple was in chaos. Shadow of Main God had a chill in his heart after he was killed. and now that the main god fragment had disappeared, they became even more uneasy. Could it be that Long Fei obtained it? I think it's someone called Heavenly Emperor. The main god fragment contained this incomparably powerful power of main god. With it, you can quickly cultivate, and with it, you can increase the speed of your cultivation of the law's power by half, so you cannot let anyone else obtain it. Long Fei dares to kill the shadow of main god right now. Is he crazy? Now is not the time to talk about this. How should we deal with Long Fei? Let's wait for the sovereign's real face to return. The real face definitely knows that his illusion has been killed. He will definitely rush back as soon as possible. Universal world. Within an immortal estate, a middle-aged man's face turned cold. He immediately stood up and said, "Brother Mr. Celestial, something has happened to my world. I need to hurry back." The other man also stood up. "What is it? Do you need my help?" "It's nothing. A mere little ant trying to defy the heavens. It's just that. This little ant has special powers. He actually managed to summon the Heavenly Emperor's avatar." The middle-aged man was slightly shocked. Although he was not at the scene, he knew very well that the Celestial Emperor was just a clone. The man was also slightly surprised to think that a Heavenly Emperor's clone appeared in a small world. It seems like that kid is really not simple. How about this? This is one of my talismans. It can be used on seal humans, and it can also be used on seal. Leave it by your side. The middle-aged man was shocked because he knew how strong this talisman was. He immediately said, "Thank you, brother Mr. Celestial." The man said with a smile, "Hurry up and go. It'll be 1,000,000 years before you go back." The middle-aged man immediately said, "I'm leaving." The middle-aged man was the sovereign of 100,000 planes. After he left, the corner of Mr. Celestial's mouth lifted slightly as he said sinisterly, "That kid, he should be the kid from the Long Residence and the Mu clan that joined together, right?" Haha. Shadow of main god exploded. Long Fei only got one main god fragment and did not know how to use it. However, there was only one boss left, Sky God. At this time, Sky God was completely dumbstruck. Looking at the gigantic Heavenly Emperor's simulacrum in the sky, he kneeled down in front of Long Fei and said, "Please spare my life." Without waiting for Long Fei to speak, the Heavenly Emperor replied with a slight sound, "Boy, don't summon me to this place from now on. I won't be coming here even if you summon me. I'm bored." Finished. Without waiting for the time to summon them, the Celestial Emperor vanished into thin air. Long Fei grinned. Damn. And then, Long Fei looked at the Sky God kneeling on the ground and coldly said, "Kill." Bai Qi moved. Chapter 2042, Perverted Feelings is Satisfying. Chapter 2042, Perverted Feelings is Satisfying? No. A white shadow appeared in Sky God's eyes. Bai Qi descended. Sky God's eyes dimmed and his body stiffened. Die. Complete annihilation. Long Fei became excited again and said, "This time, you should at least blow it up for me, right? Come on, come on." He was excited as if he had been injected with chicken blood. There was another person like him, Zhan Wushuang. He was equally excited. Ding! The system beeped. Congratulations to player Long Fei for killing Sky God for obtaining 1 billion experience, 1 billion holy power value, and 1 metamorphic energy value. Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining Wings of the Sky. Do you wish to fuse them? Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining Skyblade. Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining Power of the Sky. Do you wish to fuse it? He immediately dropped a Sky set. But all of these were not what Long Fei wanted. Sky Principle. The last sound. Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining Sky Principle. Do you wish to cultivate it? Haha, it finally dropped. Am I going to die completely this time? The last time he did not reveal the Destiny God's Law of Fate. Long Fei felt that it was weird. When the God's Holy Sword was taken by the mysterious person, he suddenly realized that the previous time, Destiny God's death was not thorough enough. Perhaps it was because of the relationship between the sovereigns. It could also be because Long Fei did not have enough power, so Long Fei did not attack himself this time. Instead, He allowed Bai Qi to attack first and killed the shadow of main god first. In that case, who could be the sky god? At this moment, the sky principle had changed owners, and Long Fei hadn't even cultivated for a few seconds. The opening of the hundreds of thousands of sky principle S had become chaotic. Boom, boom, the birds suddenly fell. The birds in the sky lost their direction. The powerhouse flying in the sky suddenly felt as if their gravity had doubled, making them unable to fly. Power of law. It was the power of laws. The sky principle had fallen, and the laws had been lost. The sky above Night King Valley was also shaking. It was not easy to sense the killing principle, but the sky principle could be seen with the naked eye. Long Fei could clearly feel the sky twisting and turning, and his heart went cold. The laws have fallen. Order has been broken. Seems like it's true. And then Long Fei moved and immediately said, "Cultivate." Wait, just as Long Fei wanted to cultivate, the corner of his mouth curled up, and he became secretly excited as he thought to himself, "I almost forgot about metamorphic energy value. Haha, now it's your turn to explode." Long Fei moved. "Release your metamorphic energy value. It hasn't been used in a long time." For now, 100 points of metamorphic energy value disappeared, and all surged into the sky principle. Buzz! A loud explosion resounded. The system beeped. Ding! Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining the peak of sky principle. He became at his peak state in an instant. Awesome. Lousy likes this kind of perverted feeling, huh? Long Fei was laughing nonstop at his heart. He had to cultivate the power of the ancient code as well. And this was an extremely long process as well. Sky God, who had cultivated for tens of millions of years, still had an average amount of ancient code power. But Long Fei had suddenly reached his peak state. Then, Long Fei moved and said, "Cultivate." Buzz! A buzzing sound came from within his body as the power of the sky principle was absorbed by Long Fei. Immediately, in this instant, Long Fei felt that he was the sky that possessed limitless power, the sky that controlled 100,000 planes. He had never felt such a feeling before. Terrifying. Excited. It was incomparably exciting. Had only experienced a little bit of the killing principle, but this sky principle was actually the product of the sky god, which he grasped completely in an instant. Long Fei could not help but exclaim in his heart, "Seems like I'm better suited to the system, better adapted to the items that drop, and will be able to fuse them once I get used to it. This kind of abnormal feeling is quite refreshing." Haha. The instant Long Fei fused with the sky principle, the sky above the 100,000 planes returned to normal. However, the changes in these few seconds could not escape the observation of the main temple gods. The sky principle fell, and in a few short seconds it recovered again. Who grasped the power of law? Who obtained this power? They were well aware that if no one had fused with the sky principle, the sky of the 100,000 planes would still be in chaos, and it would only get more and more serious. But instantly recovering, it meant that someone had grasped the sky principle. Moreover, the power of the sky principle that they dared to reach was more intense than ever before. An unshakable existence. The sky principle became stronger. However, the most troublesome thing was not only the power of law had changed hands. This kind of matter could be solved after the return of the real face, but it was also, there was something even more important at the moment. Battleground. The sky god was the commander of the battleground. Now that even he was dead, a huge change would happen to the battleground. If they lost the good news about the battleground, then the position of the gods would be lost. Nothing is more important than this. Evil God Palace had always been eyeing him covetously, and the evil god was the first to know that Shadow of Main God was destroyed and that he had fallen. This was an excellent time. The battleground immediately retaliated. What we need to do now isn't to deal with Long Fei, nor is it to look for the main god fragment, nor is it to find the person who controls the sky principle. Our top priority should be to enter the battleground and take control of the situation. If battleground loses, none of our divine seats will be protected. This is what we need to do now. He woke up with a start. All the gods were stunned. They had no objections on this matter, so they maintained a high profile, because they were all afraid of losing their divine positions. They were afraid of the falling main temple. Immediately, most of the gods in the main temple had entered the battleground. This also caused Long Fei to gasp for breath. The celestial emperor disappeared. Bai Qi was also unable to follow him out of Night King Valley. He had to walk the rest of the way by himself. However, there were two brothers by his side, and a girl from the Sumi Rings was waiting for him. Jojo, Night King Valley. Grand Elder, Luo Li is gone. He was clearly not injured, but he quietly disappeared. Heaven's mandate locked down the space between his eyebrows and said, "Go find him immediately." "Yes, sir." Luo Li, an insignificant person in Night King Valley. But now, he was actually an extremely important figure, because not only did he have a main god fragment in his possession, he had also obtained the Sky God Soul when the Sky God had fallen. And he was also being controlled by Zhan Wushuang. Zhan Wushuang was waiting for these two things. Once he had the item in his hand, his strength would increase exponentially. Chapter 2043, Benefactor, Please Wait. Chapter 2043, Benefactor, Please Wait within the Sumi Rings. Jojo chased after Long Fei, who was running with all the rings on his body. Long Fei did not stop for her to kill, and instead kept retreating. Now that he controlled the Sky Principle, his speed was already far faster than Jojo's. Long Fei said, "Jojo, you can't remember anything?" "Not at all." Looking at Jojo's ice-cold expression and the expression in his eyes that he did not recognize, Long Fei's heart ached unspeakably. How innocent and happy was Jojo in the past, yet now he had become like this. How could he not feel heartache? "Zhan Wushuang, just you wait. If I don't smack your sh*t out of your mouth, this daddy here will have the same surname as you." Long Fei clenched his fists tightly. The current godchild, Zhan Wushuang, controls the law of destiny. He had taken over everything that happened in the Destiny God. If Jojo was sent out by him, then it was clear that Lu Luoxi and the other souls were in his hands as well. Thinking of this, Long Fei became even more furious. Suddenly, Long Fei's body moved. A powerful burst of Sky Principle's energy was released, binding Jojo. The idea swayed. "Buzz, let me see what kind of power controlled you." Long Fei's idea entered Jojo's mind, and just as what the heavenly spirit had said, there was nothing in it. His memory was empty. Not even yesterday. She was a person who could not store her memories at all. The memory capacity was only one day. After one day, they would forget about one day. Every day was a new day in her life, and her goal would never change. Kill Long Fei. After a long time, Long Fei sat quietly in Jojo's mind, talking about everything that had happened in the past, occasionally revealing a smile, and occasionally sighing with his head lowered. He spoke quietly. "Jojo, do you still remember what happened in Long Family? You're the one defending me. It's you who has always believed that I'm not trash. An hour later, you even said that you would marry me." So nostalgic, Long Fei soliloquized. He didn't care if Jojo heard him or not. He just wanted to say it out loud, so that he could use this method to awaken the sealed memory within her. Half a day later, Long Fei moved. The binding power of the ancient code on Jojo's body loosened as well. In this instant, before Long Fei could react, Jojo stabbed his sword at him yet again. There was no change. Long Fei's heart hurt, and he immediately turned and left the Sumi Rings. "Boss, how is Sister Jojo?" Li Yuanba and Tian Ling asked. Long Fei gently shook his head and said, "It's still the same as a few days ago. There's no change at all." "Boss, don't worry. Sister-in-law Jojo is Phoenix Emperor. Uncle told me before that she is not an ordinary person and that she is only at the first stage of Nirvana rebirth." Li Yuanba said naively. Long Fei laughed bitterly and muttered, "I'll let her be. She's just an ordinary girl. She won't suffer like this with me." At this time, Ziyu walked up and said, "She'll be fine." She had been here since a long time ago, but she did not say anything. Looking at Long Fei's lonely eyes, she was incomparably envious of him in her heart. Even if he was facing the sovereign, facing Sky God, Long Fei would not have such a dejected expression. Long Fei's expression recovered, and said indifferently, "Thank you." Ziyu said, "Let me tell you something. A disciple has disappeared from Night King Valley." Long Fei asked, "Disappeared?" Ziyu said, "Under normal circumstances, Night King Valley's disciple would definitely not leave without permission, and even more so not disappear. I'm afraid this disciple." Long Fei frowned. "The law of fate, Zhan Wushuang. It's definitely Zhan Wushuang. But what did he disappear for? That's not right." Long Fei's expression changed slightly as he said, "He must have something, or a treasure of some sort, in his possession." Ziyu asked, "The laws of fate? Treasure? It shouldn't be, right? He is just an ordinary disciple." She doesn't understand the power of law. According to the power of those who didn't understand the law of fate, as long as the person was under his control, Zhan Wushuang could freely control them. Luo Li must have been controlled. At the same time, he definitely had to get what Zhan Wushuang wanted. Long Fei's eyes tensed up and immediately asked, "Do you have any leads for him now?" Ziyu shook her head. "Not yet. The only clue is to the north." "North?" Long Fei slightly said, "Let's go as well." What Zhan Wushuang wanted must be something very important. He definitely could not get hold of this thing. Li Yuanba and the Sky Spirit immediately stood up. Ziyu said, "The disciples of the Night King Valley have already searched with all their might to chase after them. I believe they will have clues soon." Long Fei said, "It's useless. The fate of the living beings from the 100,000 planes are all in their hands. In other words, even if your people managed to catch them, it would be useless. No one could reverse the power of destiny, unless it was someone who was beyond the control of fate. Obviously, Ziyu was not, nor were those from the Night King Valley." Ziyu was stunned. At this time, Night King Bai Chi's white silhouette appeared out of thin air. He said faintly, "He is right. The law of fate controls 100,000 plane of life. There's no use in not getting rid of those whose destiny is in your hands. Then it's over. Long Fei, if you want to find a third entrance to the battleground, I don't know the exact location either. However, in the past, there was an ancient entry in the northern polar region, and someone had entered from there during the last battle for supremacy." Bai Chi said indifferently, "It's just a pity. With my current strength, my body is unable to leave the Night King Valley. If not," Long Fei said, "You have already helped me enough. Thank you." Table of contents. If it were not for Bai Chi's help, Sky God would not have died so easily. Furthermore, he passed down the inheritance of the killing principle to her. Although all of this was arranged by his mother, Long Fei was still extremely grateful to Bai Chi for his help. Ziyu looked at Long Fei and Night King and felt very strange in her heart. Night King respected Long Fei a lot, just like his little mistress, the king of assassins, and he was the #1 figure below the sovereign level. Yet she respected Long Fei so much. Who is Long Fei? She was shocked. However, Li Yuanba and the Sky Spirit, on the other hand, felt it was very ordinary. Not to mention Night King, they wouldn't even find it strange if the god had bowed and kneeled down to Long Fei, because they knew what kind of existence Long Fei was. How powerful was his background? The Dragon Manor, the Mu Clan S, and the ancient family S of the Universal Realm S were existences that the small 100,000 planes couldn't even imagine. After staying for a short period of time, Long Fei brought the Sky Spirit and Li Yuanba out of the Night King Valley. Ziyu also followed him out. In another place. It was an unknown small place in front of a dilapidated temple. Although his strength had been enhanced by Zhan Wushuang's power of destiny, his body had not changed much and would not be able to hold on for too long. He panted as he looked at the ruined temple in front of him, ready to leave. At this time, a monk walked out. "Sir, please wait." Chapter 2044, Deep Abyss Mountain. Chapter 2044, Deep Abyss Mountain, half a month later. Deep Abyss Mountain. This is the only place we have to pass to reach the North Polar region, and also the only place that Luo Li has to pass. Ziyu looked at the mountain range in the distance that looked like an abyss. She couldn't help but shiver slightly as she said, "This place is also one of the most dangerous mountain ranges in the primordial divine war." The Deep Abyss Mountain was dark and evil. It was also a place where demons, beasts, and all sorts of strange races resided at the same time. This place has always maintained that no one offends me, and I will not offend anyone. Whoever dared to enter recklessly would meet a miserable end. Even the Night King Valley, a powerful force like the Legend Palace, didn't dare to take the risk and enter. The danger was evident. Long Fei said, "Bai Qi, who is an ancient entry in the Northern Polar region, I would like to know what is there in the Northern Polar region." Ziyu shook her head and replied, "No one has ever been there, and no one knows what's there either. However, there are all sorts of legends saying that it's a passage to another world, some saying that it's a path to main temple, and some saying that it's a dark world. Once you enter, you will never be able to get out. None of this has been confirmed." Night King Valley once made a tentative trip to the Northern Polar region at his peak, but Ziyu smiled and looked at the Deep Abyss Mountain in the distance. Everyone disappeared into the mountains ahead and never returned. Deep Abyss Mountain was a natural, dangerous place, and also a natural barrier. He was holding off the cold energy of the north. At the same time, they were blocking the invasion of the human race. Don't even mention Night King Valley. Even the main temple, who ruled over 100,000 planes, did not know what was in the Northern Polar region. Is it a shrine or hell? No one knew. Long Fei's heart trembled and said slightly, "Since it's that dangerous, why did Zhang Wushuang let him come here? Could it be that Zhang Wushuang is in the Northern Polar region? Who cares where he is? I will kill you." And then Long Fei shouted and said, "Enter the mountain." Li Yuanba took a step forward and stood at the very front. Just like a vanguard general, behind the sky spirit cushion, he released his spirit-controlling power crazily, covering an area of 1,000,000 kilometers. No matter what kind of aura there was, it would not be able to hide from his spirit-sensing ability. Ziyu said slightly, "Why did you enter the battleground through the ancient passage? If you want to earn merits in battleground, you can enter Legend Palace. Even if you are enemies with Legend Palace, you can join the Darkness Alliance with Evil God Palace, and you can also enter battleground." She did not quite understand. As long as he could enter the battleground, it would be fine. Of course, Ziyu simply did not know how many people were waiting for Long Fei. Hundreds of millions of people in the Devil Island were waiting for him to clear the third passage, waiting to enter the battleground. Ziyu also did not know that what Long Fei wanted to do more than just enter the battleground. Long Fei didn't say. She only gave a slight smile and said, "Going in from ancient entry is a bit more handsome." He grinned. Long Fei thought, "I want to have a passage that only belongs to me." Half an hour later, 4 of them entered the Deep Abyss Mountain. The moment they entered, the expressions of the 4 people slightly changed. The celestial spirit was the first to say, "Boss, something's wrong. My spiritual chi sensing has completely disappeared. The area I'm sensing is less than 100 meters. It's as if this is a special space. I can't release my power at all." Li Yuanba followed. "Boss, my side situation is more or less the same. What's going on? Are the powerhouse approaching us?" Li Yuanba was on guard, on guard, and on guard. He listened in all 4 directions and observed his surroundings, not sparing a single direction. Long Fei moved. Buzz. Before he could release it, it was bounced back by an unknown force. Long Fei frowned. There's an indescribable force that's stopping our ideas' senses. It's not a human, but a special substance. This mountain range is a little special. Ziyu said, "Deep Abyss Mountain has too many unsolved mysteries." Long Fei said, "Everyone be careful." Li Yuanba moved his right hand, summoning the giant spirit axe, then used the divine axe to clear the way. The 4 of them carefully made their way towards the heart of the mountain range. God's mountain. Damn it. Zhang Wushuang frowned, his face filled with anger. Black Robe Destiny God asked, "What happened?" Zhang Wushuang said, "The power of my fate will has been sealed." What? Black Robe Destiny God's expression slightly changed. He had previously controlled the laws of fate, so he was very clear on what kind of power the Wheel of Fate contained. Black-robed destiny god asked, "How is that possible? There is no one in this world who can control the power of the Wheel of Destiny within the seal." "It's Long Fei." The black-robed fate envoy immediately thought of Long Fei. Zhan Wushuang shook his head and said, "It's not him. The last person I saw was a monk." Zhan Wushuang squinted his eyes. "Which monk in the end dares to go against me?" "Main God Fragment. The soul of the sky god. Any one of them would be able to give him a huge boost in his cultivation, especially the main God Fragment. If he could fuse it with the god's shield, then its defense would be unshakable." Zhan Wushuang thought for a moment, then said, "I will go out myself." Black-robed destiny god's expression changed slightly as he said, "Leave?" "If the sovereign found out." Zhan Wushuang laughed. "God hasn't returned, so no one will know if I leave. Furthermore, Long Fei won't be able to reach this place in a while. So you want to enter the battleground through the ancient entry? He is a joke. Does he think that anyone who wants to enter the ancient entry can enter as they please? Humph! Even if I don't guard him and let him in, he won't be able to get in." And then, Zhan Wushuang turned into a shadow and disappeared on the spot. Black-robed destiny god raised his eyes slightly, his gaze turning gloomy. "Defense law, main artifact, law of fate, soul controlling. Sky god soul, these should all be mine. Long Fei's life. It's also mine." Deep Abyss Mountain. Long Fei and the other three had already gone 100 kilometers. Long Fei was still thinking about leveling up by killing monsters along the way, but he didn't expect that. He didn't even see a single strand of hair along the way, let alone demon beast. This is too strange. It's fine if there aren't any demon beasts, but there aren't even any wild beasts. What's going on? The celestial spirit pouted. "Boss, I miss your barbecue." Li Yuanba scratched his head. "Me misses it too." Long Fei laughed. "If you can kill a demon beast, I'll roast it right away. This place is too strange. How can there be such a place? No one, no demon beast, not even a wild beast." And Long Fei felt that something was off, but he didn't know where it was wrong. Chapter 2045, This Road to Battleground. Chapter 2045, This Road to Battleground in the Deep Abyss Mountain. Long Fei and the other three were as insignificant as ants. They went over several large mountains in a row and did not even see a single demon beast. Long Fei had completely lost his will to fight monsters and leveled up. "Boss, why do I feel like something's wrong?" Li Yuanba looked at his surroundings. It was the same everywhere. The whole way here was pretty much the same. The heavenly spirit said, "My imperial soul force is completely useless here." Long Fei looked up into the sky, and the sky principle activated at the same time. At the same time, it directly pierced through the clouds and saw the sun. His mind trembled and said, "We didn't move. We stayed where we are." Illusion realm? Li Yuanba shuddered, and his grip on the giant spirit axe tightened. Ziyu said, "Illusion? We didn't encounter anything. So how did we end up in an illusion?" His eyes could see through everything, but here, it was as if his eyes had lost their effectiveness. Frost covered his eggplant as he said, "Boss, I can't see anything." Even he couldn't tell. This was enough to show just how strong this illusion was. "You guys stay here and don't move," Long Fei said as he turned around and rushed into the sky. He floated in the air, and when he looked up, he could not see anything. Nothing special. It didn't seem like an illusion either. Long Fei's heart tightened. Damn, isn't this too strange? His figure fell back down to the ground, but just as he flew out of the ground for less than 10 seconds, Li Yuanba, the heavenly spirit, and Ziyu all disappeared. "Where is he?" "Yuanba, heavenly spirit." Long Fei shouted a few times, but there was no response. "Holy sh*T. So strange." Long Fei frowned as his consciousness quickly expanded outwards. At this moment, his consciousness was blocked by a powerful force. It was also at this time. A middle-aged man walked out of the darkness. Evil god. No wonder. Not to mention Long Fei, even the other gods in Main Temple would not be able to detect the illusions created by the evil god. let alone Li Yuanba and the others. Long Fei had seen him before, in the Chaos Realm, and even in the giant clan tribes. He had seen the evil god. The evil god smiled faintly and said, "Long Fei, we meet again." There was no aura on his body, and he was even more ordinary than an ordinary person. However, this only served to prove the strength of the evil god, and it also proved that the evil god was... Long Fei could feel an aura more dangerous than that of the sky god from his body. Long Fei also laughed faintly. "Evil god." The evil god replied, "I never thought that you would be able to summon Night King, and even more so, that you would be able to kill Shadow of Main God. You truly shocked me." Now that the sovereigns aren't in the 100,000 planes, if we join forces, we will definitely be able to overthrow the main temple and create a world that belongs to us. How is it? Will you follow me? I'll give you whatever you want. Sky God had fallen. The Sky Principle had changed hands. The evil god seized this opportunity to launch a frenzied counterattack inside the battleground. But he did not win, and was even constantly losing territory and losing troops. However, what he did not expect was that the ranking gods of the main temple had all entered the battleground, and his army could not withstand them at all. Defeat after defeat. If he continued to retreat, he would completely be squeezed out of battleground, and at that time, he really had lost every chance. Long Fei smiled slightly and said, "I'll give you what you want." The evil god said, "Yes, I'll give you whatever you want." Long Fei said, "All right, then I want your life. Give it to me." "Ha." The evil god laughed and said, "Long Fei, you are a smart person and you know clearly who is the controller and who is the most powerful being in the 100,000 planes. Don't think that just because you killed the shadow of main god that you think that the god is nothing. The god's power is far greater than what you imagine. And in these millions of years, the sovereign has never been in the 100,000 planes. He has always been in the outer reaches, which is the universal large world. No one knows, and you are not his match either. Together, you and I is the only chance. I can help you take back the souls of your family. I can give you everything you want." He needed Long Fei's strength. As long as Long Fei followed him into the battleground, he would definitely be able to take back the lost land and seize the battleground when the sovereign king wasn't back in the ancient gods' war. Long Fei grinned. "I do not know how powerful the sovereign is, but neither does he know how terrifying I am. To be honest, you've always been a loser." As soon as he finished, the evil god was enraged between his eyebrows. The word loser could not help but explode with anger in his heart. At this moment, another person stepped out of the darkness. Hanba. Hanba looked at Long Fei and said, "We finally meet." Long Fei had said that he would wait for him at Battleground. He did not expect to suddenly appear here. Hanba replied, "I belong to the Dark Army. Long Fei, we need your help. Can you help me this once?" How arrogant was Hanba in the gods' martial continent? How arrogant was he? He was overweeningly arrogant. They didn't put anyone in their eyes, but now it had become like this. This was also because this was the primordial divine war, and the current Long Fei was no longer the Long Fei of the gods' martial continent. Standing next to him was the Black Legion's most powerful paragon, the evil god. Hanba had helped Long Fei before. He had also helped the gods' martial continent. Lu Laoshi and the others wouldn't be able to break through as quickly as Hanba, so he was very grateful to Hanba in his heart. This time, without waiting for Long Fei to reject, the corners of the evil god's eyes twitched. Hanba immediately knelt on the ground and said, "Long Fei, I beg you, please help me this once." Long Fei immediately stepped forward and supported Hanba, saying, "You don't need to do this." Hanba didn't get up and said, "We really need your help." After hesitating for a moment, he continued, "The Dark Army has already left the Red River unguarded. If we retreat any further, we will completely be chased out of the battleground, and the entrance to the darkness will be sealed off. We won't even have a chance left." The expression in the evil god's eyes darkened slightly. Long Fei exhaled a breath of relief in his heart and said, "All right, I'll help you. Ow! Hanba looked at the evil god and said excitedly, "Bring your brother and follow me into the battleground. As long as you can help me fight my way back to the Red River, that will be fine." What did the battleground look like? How dangerous is it inside? Long Fei did not know either, but he knew that Hanba had helped him before and also fought together with him. Brother is in trouble. Then he had to help. Long Fei said as his heart trembled. Then let's enter the battleground in advance and warm up first to see what exactly is going on inside. Long Fei nodded. All right, I'll help you. The evil god became excited. Both his hands formed a seal, and the idea moved. The void door opened in a flash. This is the way to the battleground. Chapter 2046. Welcome to the League of Heroes. Chapter 2046. Welcome to the League of Heroes. Looking at the gate that led to the battleground. It was the entrance to darkness. Main Temple was the entrance to the light. They were like a treasure that could recognize its master, and their master could summon them at will. Once Long Fei obtained the ancient entry, he could summon it at will and bring it back to the Devil Island, allowing the brothers on the Devil Island to attack and go in. Long Fei looked at the entrance and did not step in immediately. Instead, he asked, "Where's my brother?" The evil god said, "They are already waiting for you inside." Long Fei looked at Hanba. Hanba nodded. Long Fei laughed and asked, "If I did not go, wouldn't my brotherhood have died in there?" The evil god's eyes twitched, but he did not reply. Long Fei didn't wait for him to reply and said, "I understand." Finished. Long Fei took a step into the entrance and thought in his heart, "Mother asterisk Kerr, touch my brother? This account shall be noted down by you first." Long Fei was a vengeful man. He only had one principle for those who dared to touch his brother: to turn him over, to kill him, and to get pregnant. From a moment Long Fei entered the deep abyss mountain, he felt that something was amiss. He never thought that the evil god would personally come out and set up such a huge trap for him. Long Fei could resist, but Hanba's kneeling made his heart soften. Again, he also wanted to see what a heaven-defying change of fate looked like. Even it could control 100,000 planes. He was to become the paragon of 100,000 planes. Long Fei really wanted to know what kind of world it was. The corner of the evil god's mouth curled up into a smile. He glanced at Hanba from the corner of his eyes and said, "Not bad. Ha ha ha. If Long Fei is of use to me, then I can kill my way back to the Red River. When the time comes." The evil god laughed in excitement. Long Fei's strength had greatly exceeded his expectations, and adding the laws which Long Fei controlled, he believed that he was definitely able to control the entire situation within the battleground. And then, the evil god also stepped into the entrance. Hanba looked at the dark entrance and muttered, "Long Fei, thank you." With a cold frown on his forehead, he followed suit. He wanted to change the world, to change the rules of the law, but he realized that even if Battleground won, he would still be unable to change this world. Because even if a sovereign were to perish and the evil god were to replace him, this world would still be the same as before with no changes whatsoever. He was a little confused now. Who am I fighting for? Why am I fighting? It was as if he had lost the direction of his life. Hanba's heart was very complicated, but after Long Fei entered the battleground, his heart became even more complicated. Right or wrong? The entrance was like a time tunnel. A dark light shrouded the area. Suddenly, the strong light was blinding, causing Long Fei to be unable to open his eyes. He stood on a sacrificial altar. The stones beneath his feet had carvings of all sorts of runes. Flashing fluorescent light. Li Yuanba, Sky Spirit. Z was standing right beside him. All this was normal. Very normal. The three of them looked very normal. But Long Fei was abnormal. It was more accurate to say that his system was out of order. Suddenly, a voice that left him dumbfounded and unable to be understood rang out. "Ding! Welcome to the Hero Alliance." Damn it, damn it, damn it, damn it, damn it. What an old mother. Long Fei didn't know whether to be excited or shocked, or simply indescribably excited. The battleground is the battlefield of the Hero Alliance? What the hell? Long Fei shook his head, not daring to believe what he had just heard. This is an illusion. This must be an illusion. This must be an illusion. I am obviously in the primordial divine battlefield. Why would I enter the Hero Alliance? This is the Wallerant continent. This is Demacia. Is it some kind of bird? This feeling was exactly the same as the first time Long Fei teleported to the gods' martial continent. He was really stupefied and was even more muddled than the last time he teleported. Because right now, Long Fei had completely accepted this world, accepted this identity, and suddenly said, "Welcome to the Hero Alliance." All of a sudden, he was completely stupefied. Long Fei looked at Li Yuanba and asked, "Yuanba, do you feel anything unusual?" Li Yuanba scratched his big bald head. With a serious look on his face, he looked around and said naively, "Boss, I didn't feel anything was wrong." Long Fei looked at the Sky Spirit, and the Sky Spirit also muttered, "There's nothing abnormal about it." Without waiting for Long Fei to ask, He shook his head and said, "Everything is normal." Holy *T. Am I the one who is abnormal? Long Fei muttered and looked around him. The altar beneath his feet was like a spring, and in front of him was a gigantic crystal pillar of light. Isn't this the base? Long Fei could no longer hold it in and thought, they don't have a system, so everything looks normal. I have the system, it's just that there's something wrong with it. But, Master System, is this really the Hero Alliance? Is there a shop for our Kali? Are there any main city cannons? Do you have an arrow tower? Do you have the automatically generated little soldier Luo? He kept asking himself. Long Fei continuously searched the system, but he was unable to find anything. His heart trembled slightly as he thought to himself, could it be that the name of this battleground is Hero Alliance? It can't be that coincidental, right? At this time, a black light flashed and the evil god appeared. Looking at Long Fei's dazed expression, he smiled lightly and said, "This is the Darkness Alliance. On your left-hand side, there's a dark shop which contains the supplies you guys want as well as all sorts of things you need. I will give each of you 500 special contribution points, and the contribution points are the battleground's currency. The more people you kill, the more contribution points you will receive. With contribution points, you could buy anything you want." The evil god's eyebrows moved. At this time, the system sounded out in Long Fei's mind. Ding! Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining 500 gold coins. F***CK. I knew it. King knew it. Long Fei had the urge to die, but it could also be said that he was indescribably excited. Others were getting contribution points. As for him, it was the starting gold coin of the Hero Alliance when they first came out, 500 gold coins. Moreover, looking in the direction in which the evil god had gone just now, the so-called dark shop was definitely a Kali's shop. Damn it. That's not right. It's very deadly. Long Fei felt bitter in his heart. In his previous life, he had played games and fought his way through. However, speaking of games, who can compare to Long Fei? Hero Alliance? Even though Long Fei didn't play much, but with his gaming experience, he had a superb understanding of the game and his ability of consciousness. How could stomping over Battleground be a matter of words? Come on. Chapter 2047 Standard Primary School Students. Chapter 2047 Standard Primary School Students. Long Fei quickly adjusted himself. It didn't matter if this was the real Hero Alliance or the real Battleground. Do it, then you must do it to the best of your abilities. Once again stepping into the game to fight for hegemony, Long Fei had an indescribable feeling in his heart, an indescribable excitement. At this time, the evil god said, "Each of you can only choose 3 cultivation techniques. Once you kill a certain number of people, you will automatically activate a cultivation technique that belongs to you. This cultivation technique requires the accumulated contribution points you have accumulated, and it can be exchanged directly without your consent. This kind of special cultivation technique is very powerful. Once you leave this place, it will automatically disappear. When you enter this place a second time, it will still be here. Also, you must remember, do your best to kill their martial artists. Their martial artist contribution points are the highest. Once they reach a certain amount of contribution points, they can directly exchange for the power of law. All right, let's enter and choose as soon as possible. 3 types of cultivation techniques: Q, W, E, and a special cultivation technique that was automatically activated to level 6, which was also the ultimate move, R. Couldn't believe that it wasn't the Hero Alliance. Long Fei said in a low voice, "Ziyu, you should choose your heaven listening technique and the power of your vision expansion. Then speed. Yuanba, big meat shield." There was no doubt that Li Yuanba was the super tank that was stronger than the 6 pieces of defensive equipment, which meant that he was much stronger than them. You chose to use a defensive cultivation technique as your base. Also, count your Titan in 2. Li Yuanba innocently smiled and said, "Okay." He would do whatever Long Fei said. With Long Fei, he did not need to bring his brain around and just follow what Long Fei said. Long Fei looked at the sky spirit again and said, "You're a Yuling Guardian Warrior, Ghost Vein Art, long-range control, DPS, and later you and Z, you will be walking together. Li Yuanba as a meat, a powerful tank." On the way, Heaven Spirit was good at controlling the power of the Ghost Vein skill. It could be used as an ADC from a distance. Violet Moon was the support. There was only one person left. The evil god couldn't hide the astonishment in his heart when he saw Long Fei's command. He said with incomparable shock in his heart, "He came here before? It seems to be very familiar." He had come before? Long Fei had died at least 10,000 times on this map. It could be said that from the spring water of his own faction to the spring water of his enemies, he had died. How could he not be familiar with such a map? Long Fei looked at the evil god. The evil god immediately said, "I am unable to join the battle. These are the battleground's rules. I can only command them." Long Fei replied, "I'm not looking at you. I'm looking at Han Ba behind you." "You?" Without waiting for Long Fei to speak, Han Ba said, "My cultivation technique has already been determined. What do you want me to do?" Long Fei didn't understand Han Ba in particular. His power was strong in the god's martial continent. But the current plane was different, and the restriction of power was also different. So how could he be as strong as he was in the god's martial continent? However, now, Long Fei had no other choice, and said, "All right, then you go." Han Ba slightly nodded. All right. He did not know who was fighting for. He had invited Long Fei in. He knew that if Long Fei did not agree, the evil god would take action. "No matter what, I will fight for you." After a few seconds, everyone nodded and said, "We have chosen our cultivation techniques." Long Fei said, "Ziyu, Tianling, you two go down the road and control the rhythm. Don't start killing as you please. Wait for my order." Han Ba, you are in the middle of killing the enemy's soldiers. Yuan Ba, go ahead, kill whoever you can. If you can't kill the opponent, you must at least suppress him. Remember, do not enter the attacking range of the enemy's archery tower. Long Fei said quickly. The 4 of them were stunned. He did not understand half of Long Fei's words either. Han Ba was still all right. After all, he had been to the battlefield before. Li Yuanba and the other 2 were completely dumbfounded. Evil God said, "Based on my understanding towards the Light faction, they will definitely send 2 people. I do not doubt Li Yuanba's strength, but this place is different from the outside. Without money, it was equivalent to having no equipment. Without equipment, no matter how skilled you are, you won't be able to do it. GG only. And if it's really the same as the Hero Alliance, a 2v1, then the pressure will be huge. Then I'll have to take all the pressure on the road." However, hearing the evil god's words, Long Fei laughed in his heart. 2 on the road? Empty the wilderness? Ha ha! A primary school student, a standard primary school student. Li Yuanba said, "Boss, I'll be fine by myself." Long Fei said, "Then you should change your mind a little now, and if you can't win, don't go all out and just maintain your growth." Li Yuanba replied, "Okay." After he was done, Long Fei said, "Prepare to kill." Ziyu doubtfully asked, "We already have a spot, but what about you?" After he asked, everyone looked at Long Fei. "Yeah, boss, where are you going?" "Do you command?" Li Yuanba said naively. "As long as boss commands, We don't have to go out. I will kill him alone for 180,000, no problem. With an excited laugh, the celestial spirit responded, I completely agree. At this moment, laughter came from behind the altar. Long Fei looked at the evil god. The evil god coughed lightly. A group of people walked up from behind the altar. Each of them had a high level of cultivation, and each of them was a high god peak realm. Everyone had scars on their bodies. They were all the martial generals of the evil god. One of them could not help but smile. Command, directed from the altar? Ha ha! Lord Evil God, I am truly sorry. I really cannot control it. Ha ha! Some of the surrounding martial officers could not help but laugh at him. Li Yuanba was in a bad mood. His eyes darkened. The same was true for the heavenly spirit. Its aura became gloomy. Long Fei laughed faintly and said, Even if you can't control it, you still have to. That man's smile faded as he said disdainfully, Just the 5 of you? It's not like I said that a round will result in a team wipeout. Furthermore, they're even on the road with a meat shield and are going offline to assist them. What are they talking about? Do you know where this is? Do you understand the rules of the battleground? Do you understand? While they were talking, the generals all had expressions of contempt, as if they were looking at a 3-year-old child. In their eyes, the tactic that Long Fei had just set up was useless and would be defeated in an instant. Long Fei shrugged and spread out his hands, saying, I don't understand. Then why did your boss still invite me? How about this? Let's go back. We don't understand anyways. Long Fei was too lazy to waste time with him. The evil god's eyes darkened. He berated, Ming Wu, pay attention. Ming Wu was not convinced. Master, I don't care how strong he is outside, or what kind of god he has killed, but this is the battleground. Do you really want to hand over the fate of the Darkness Alliance to him? You're willing. We don't want to. As soon as he finished, many of the generals took a step forward with a heavy shout and immediately stood in front of Long Fei's group of 4. Chapter 2048, Crushing Them. Chapter 2048, Crushing Them. They did not believe in Long Fei. I don't believe it. He was even more unwilling to say that his fate was in the hands of someone he didn't believe in. To them, the tactics that Long Fei had set up, just fighting on the road alone, was not enough for them, as it would definitely create a situation of their own. Once the road crumbled, everything will crumble, because no one could support them. Once the backup is on the road, the line will lose its advantage. In this way, losing was only a matter of time. As the numerous military generals closed in, the dark and evil energy around their bodies began to rumble. Li Yuanba's neck moved, his joints making a cracking sound. His right hand grabbed out, causing the giant spirit axe to fall, as he muttered, Looks like I have to do something on the altar first. The sky spirit had lowered his hands, releasing the dark power of the dose, and laughed excitedly. I like fighting. Both of them were militants. If there was a fight, he wouldn't mind not eating. Long Fei stood in his original spot while facing the light smile. He did not move, nor did he say anything. To be honest, if it wasn't for Han Ba kneeling down, he really wouldn't have helped the evil god because, not interested, even if this was the battlefield of the Hero Alliance, Long Fei wouldn't be interested. It was better to fight for oneself than for others. As long as he could find the ancient entry, he would also be able to enter here. At that time, he would be fighting for himself. Thus, at this time, as long as the evil god wavered, he would unhesitatingly choose to leave. The space between the evil god's eyebrows was tightly locked. He was also very suspicious of Long Fei's tactics. If 5 people were to fight and for it to go online, then what would the other person do? Command? There was no need at all. Scared to death everywhere. What use is it? This battle was especially important to the Darkness Alliance. If they were to lose this battle, they would really be forced out of Battleground, and at that time, he would no longer have any hope. Lord, I believe they might as well let us try again. Just them? I look down on you. What are they? Someone who doesn't even know what a battleground is. What use can they have? Lord, think twice. Many of the military officers continued to speak. Long Fei smiled and said, Evil God, you don't need to hesitate. You can just let them go. I have no objections, and I can leave. Since he knew what kind of situation the battleground was in, knowing this was enough. Did you see that? Lord, he's afraid. Such a person would only be throwing his life away if he went up, making our dark legion lose face. Kid, you really don't have the qualifications to go up. Li Yuanba shouted. Who the F ** K do you think you are? If you dare to say that my boss isn't even the slightest bit, do you believe that I will kill you? The Sky Spirit was also preparing to take action. The military generals were not to be trifled with. They quickly took another step forward. The smell of gunpowder was overwhelming. It was ready to explode at any moment. Long Fei thought for a while, we can't kill our teammates in the Hero Alliance. I wonder if this battleground can kill our teammates. Obviously, Long Fei was also unhappy. The evil god's voice sank as he shouted loudly. Do you still have an evil god like me in your eyes? The sound was deafening. All of the generals were stunned as they kneeled on the ground in unison. The evil god looked at Long Fei and said, How confident are you in winning? Long Fei laughed. I'm not confident. Even if he was 100% sure, Long Fei would say that. This father isn't even F * king confident. Ming Wu sneered, and just as he was about to speak, Long Fei laughed. But you are more confident than the group of trash around you. You're courting death. Brat, you're too arrogant. Too arrogant. We are trash. What the F * CK do you think you are? Many of the generals had gone through hundreds of battles, and they all had their own pride. Being called a trash by Long Fei, the arrogance in their hearts was as if they had been trampled on by an insult. In an instant, they erupted with fury as several tens of pairs of eyes stared fixedly at Long Fei. Long Fei acted as if he did not see that. With a face full of contempt, he said, If they aren't trash, why would they lose? Only trash will keep losing. Only then would he not know how to change, and why he was forced into such a miserable state. Long Fei said in an overbearing tone, not giving them the slightest bit of face. Don't even think about it. The evil god's expression was also somewhat ugly. What was the difference between calling his subordinates trash and calling him trash? All of the officers could not refute what Long Fei had said, because they had indeed been losing the entire time. Ming Wu sneered and said, You are someone who had just entered the battleground. What qualifications do you have to mock us? What's the use of your tactics? Trash that you don't know anything. What qualifications do you have to talk to us? You're right. You're right. What right do you have to criticize us? Long Fei's gaze was dark, and he laughed coldly. Because I can win. Word for word. The altar suddenly quieted down as everyone looked at Long Fei. The evil god's gaze also tightened as he looked at Long Fei and asked, You can win? Ha ha. Ha ha! Many of the military officers started laughing at him. The evil god shouted, All of you quiet down. Long Fei said, I can win, but I have a condition. Evil god said, Speak. Long Fei stared at Ming Wu and said, I want... Ming Wu's eyes darkened. Long Fei laughed coldly. I want Han Ba. Ming Wu's eyes moved again. Long Fei laughed coldly. You think I want your head? You don't even qualify to die at my hands, do you? Han Ba trembled slightly. The evil god said, What do you want him to do? Long Fei said, I want him to leave this place with me. If you agree, I will win this round. If not. Without waiting for Long Fei to finish speaking, the evil god immediately said, All right, as long as you can win this match, I will let him leave with you guys. All right. Believe you, Long Fei said. Then let your men leave. Evil god said, Do we start now? Yes. The evil god smiled and said, All right. The crowd dispersed. Only Long Fei and the other three remained on the altar. Han Ba wanted to say something, but decided to hold back in the end, because he too doubted Long Fei's tactics. This was not a game, but a real world. If he died, he would die. He wouldn't be resurrected in the spring. This was a very crucial point. If one person died, then the crash was only a matter of time. Long Fei looked at them and said, Believe in me. Li Yuanba worshipped Long Fei blindly and believed him. Boss, I believe in you, so you can rest assured that there won't be any problems on the road. The man said, I believe it too. Ziyu said, I believe you. Even though Han Ba didn't really believe it in his heart at this time, in order to gain courage, he also heavily said, I do. Then let's start. Long Fei shouted excitedly. And then, the system sounded out. The enemy troops still have 30 seconds to reach the battlefield. Crush them. Chapter 2049, Fighting the Field. Chapter 2049, Fighting the Field, a familiar voice, a familiar scene, a familiar feeling. This was not the real world. This was a completely different feeling from controlling a hero in front of a computer. This feeling was even more blood-boiling. Every battle was a battle of life and death. Death meant disappearance. There was no revival here. There was no chance for another one. People died and the place crumbled. Thus, surviving in this battleground was the most important thing. The system sound that made Long Fei's blood boil quickly sounded out. Long Fei quickly got everyone to choose their outdoors at the Akari store and entered the forest by himself. You guys stay online and develop, just wait for my command. Long Fei warned again and again. Top, middle, and bottom 3 routes. What does he want? He actually died in the forest of death. All of them are powerful demon beasts. With his current cultivation, he is not a match for them. Master, could they be sent by the main temple? Could it be that killing the destiny god, the sky god, the shadow of main god, all of this is just a trap? Was it to deal with us? This kid is too abnormal. He doesn't have this kind of strategy. Does he actually want to die in the forest of death? Could it really be the people sent by the main temple? Long Fei's actions could not help but cause suspicion. No one would enter the forest like him. There were powerful demon beasts in the forest. Killing them would give 1 special contribution points, but this action was as though he was courting death. At this moment, he couldn't help but become worried. If killing Destiny God, Sky God, and Shadow of Main God were all for the sake of acting, then this act is too profound. Of course, if one Destiny God died, the Sky God would exchange for all of his territory and control everything in the battleground, allowing the main temple to enjoy an eternal existence. The deaths of 2 gods were worth it. However, right now, Long Fei and the others were already in the battlefield and could no longer recall them. The evil god did not speak, but stared fixedly at every single movement on the battlefield, his heart becoming nervous. The life and death of Evil God Palace was at stake here. Whether he was dead or alive, everything was in Long Fei's hands. Ding! The system sounded out yet again. Everyone attack. In the Black Crystal base, 3 teams of small soldiers appeared. These small soldiers were not the brainless soldiers of the game. They were a living person. However, they received the evil god's control and were unable to get rid of it. They could only charge forward toward the battlefield. Moreover, these small soldiers were very crucial in the early stages of the training. Ha ha ha! The trash of the evil god palace. This is your last battle. Get ready to leave the battleground, ha ha. A burst of mocking laughter came from afar. A consecutive victories made the main temple's generals exceptionally arrogant and did not put the evil god palace's people in their eyes at all. Bilateral soldiers arrived on the battlefield. In the forest of death, in a patch of grass, Long Fei muttered, "This should be the place with the red buff, right? If this place is the same as the world of the Hero Alliance, then the time at which the wild monsters respawn is the same as well. Red buff is crucial. Continuous damage, deceleration. Buzz." A huge lizard climbed up from the ground. It was more than 10 meters tall, and its entire body was colorful. Long Fei raised his eyes and was immediately shocked. Damn, can you not be so powerful? In the game, Red Buff was only a monster that was around the same size as a hero. However, the huge lizard in front of him caused Long Fei to be a little dazed. This is way too damn big, right? Chua! Long Fei summoned the Yama edge in his hand. With a move of his feet, he slashed down with his blade. Shwa. 190! A bright red number appeared on the head of the gigantic lizard, and at the same time, its health bar rose to 5,000 points. Long Fei scolded angrily and said, "Damn! Kill!" The light faction had 212 players on the other side of the line, so no one was playing. No one would fight. This was because all the monsters in the Forest of Death were of abnormal rank, and no one would foolishly go inside to fight Demon Beast. It was no different from courting death. There's only one Baldy on the road. They don't have many people. I've never seen any of these people before. Are they new players? Seems like Evil God Palace has given up. In the last battle, he still dares to use these hot-headed young men who have never appeared before? Courting death. Haha. Brothers, crush them. Let's break the record and take down the enemy base in 18 minutes. On the way, completely crush him. Below the sacrificial altar, the main temple gods could not help but laugh out loud. The dark faction lost. Haha. Sky God has fallen, shadow of main god has been killed, and we have taken over battleground. Even if the Lord God were to return, there would be no offense, and there will be rewards. What do you think the evil god is doing? At this critical juncture, you actually sent out a few rookies that you have never seen before. Isn't this accelerating death? In the final battle, he definitely gave up. With us here, they're no match for us. They were cheering, unable to stop the excitement from appearing between their eyebrows. No matter how strong you are, or how big a power you are, as long as the battleground is in their control, then even if you have the ability to transcend the heavens, you will still not be able to change this world's rules and laws. Only the battleground could change everything. That year, it was here that they could change the world and grasp the power of the laws. No one knew this place better than they did. The reason the main temple's gods entered the battleground was to gain absolute control over it. Once the evil god palace was destroyed, they would not allow any other power the chance to enter the battleground again. They would firmly control it. At that time, as for how long Fei had become a powerhouse, it was useless because no matter how strong he was still a part of their laws, unable to break the bindings. He could only lie there obediently. Thinking of this, many of them couldn't help but laugh. He laughed proudly. Ha-ha! Ha-ha! All three paths are already advantages. Look at them. They can't even hold their own anymore. Ha-ha. We will win for sure. On the road, Li Yuanba followed Long Fei's instructions completely. He resisted the pressure and never took the initiative to attack, waiting for Long Fei's order to kill the little soldier whenever there was a chance. Killing a small soldier would earn him 10 contribution points. Under the situation of the reinforcements, he had a complete victory over the other two. In the middle path, Han Ba was suppressing it a little miserably, but as the troops entered the tower, he was unable to hold on much longer. It was about the same down the road. This was because Ziyu's choice of cultivation technique was auxiliary, while her opponent had 2 DPS-type skills. Both of them had been suppressed to a miserable state. All 3 paths are at a disadvantage. Rumble. When the giant lizard's health point reached the bottom, and its huge body collapsed, Long Fei exhaled. Could it be the same? The system sounded out. Ding! Chapter 2050, Dispersion, Godlike Existence. Chapter 2050, Dispersion, Godlike Existence. Could it be the same buff attribute? This was the only problem that Long Fei was worried about. It was also the most important thing. Ding! Congratulations to player Long Fei for killing Giant Lizard for obtaining 100,000 experience, 10,000 holy power value points, and 1 metamorphic energy value point. Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining 100 gold coins. Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining red buff's power. Do you wish to release it? The corner of Long Fei's mouth curled up as he laughed. It's the same thing indeed. The only difference was experience. 1 million experience points. This was game experience, and also the experience of Long Fei's leveling up. It was also at this time. The second skill was activated. Haha. Long Fei laughed excitedly and said, Tianling, get ready. Understood. Ziyu also secretly nodded. Understood. There's still 4 people. The 5th person hasn't appeared yet. Seems like he really gave up. I think they already escaped the battleground, leaving behind 4 scapegoats. Haha. Let's push forward. Since we can't kill them, let's push forward their pagoda. This is a tower pushing game. The 5 online were extremely proud. The expressions of all the generals in Evil God Palace were ice cold. Their faces were ashen, and each and every one of them were abnormally hateful. Some of them even started to curse angrily. They're definitely spies. They're the people sent by the main temple. Lord, we've been tricked. Master, we still have time. Let's retreat out of battleground. We have no way to turn back. If they didn't leave, death would await them. The evil god's heart had sunk even deeper as he tightly clenched his fists. No one knew just how angry he was right now. No one knew if his anger could melt Deep Abyss Mountain or not. Creak, creak, creak. The aura around his body was constantly cracking, and the space around him was slowly cracking and distorting. He shouted in a deep voice, "Long Fei, if you dare to mess with me, I will make it so that you will never reincarnate." Anger, infuriated to the extreme. It could not be described with words. This battle was about life and death. Regarding his millions of years of hard work, he trusted Long Fei too easily, so he shouldn't have trusted him. After Long Fei entered the forest of death, he did not come out again. In this kind of situation, he was either crushed by the demon beast in the forest, or he was standing on the side with joy. The generals of the Light faction were closing in, and were beginning to push the tower forward. If that was the case, the evil god palace was definitely going to lose. Anger and hatred filled the heart of the evil god. On the other hand, the people of Main Temple were celebrating. The everlasting foundation was about to be laid in their hands. He would definitely get a big reward. As they were cheering, as the evil god was enraged, as he was feeling complacent about the general, something happened. A figure flashed out from behind the back of a military general. This was also the moment. Ziyu suddenly moved. Her body's power turned into a binding force, trapping a martial general. The sky spirit moved. He directly leaped into the air, lowered both hands, and began to wildly revolve the power of the Dost on his hands, forming a series of long-range attacks, and shouted, "After being suppressed for so long, it's my turn." Boom, boom, boom. He quickly attacked. The brilliant martial general grinned and said, "It's just the two of you. You overconfident trash. Die for me." Before he could finish, a cold voice came from behind them. Two of them. Wrong. Three. Power of Buddha. Open. Rumble. With a move of his left fist, his entire left arm transformed into Tathagata's hand. A towering Buddha statue appeared, and he sent a palm strike forward. Rumble. The sound was incomparable, as half of his health fell to 0. Coincidentally, with the descent of the heavenly spirit's power of the Dost, the warrior's HP fell to the bottom. Long Fei's normal attack immediately took him away. First kill. Boom. Long Fei did not bother with the system's notification sound. That martial general was scared senseless, but his reaction time could be said to be incredibly fast. It was a natural reaction that took place after hundreds of battles. One person was killed, and his mind was greatly shaken. Wings of the Sky. The second skill. Long Fei's body was in the air. He suddenly dove down, and like a flash of white light, he directly crashed into the general's body. Boom! That military general had been knocked over. Long Fei grinned. "You still want to escape?" After a fierce beating, the Sky Spirit and Ziyu surrounded them. 3 seconds later. Boom! Second kill. Long Fei killed both of them. The system sounded out one after another. Ding! Congratulations to player Long Fei for killing Radiant General, for obtaining 100,000 experience, 100,000 holy power value, and 1 metamorphic energy value. Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining 400 gold. Ding! Congratulations to player Long Fei for killing Radiant General, for obtaining 100,000 experience, 100,000 holy power value, and 1 metamorphic energy value. Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining 300 gold. The system kept ringing. This feeling, it was like a game, but it was much better and much more exciting. In his previous life, Long Fei had always thought of when game technology could be advanced to the point where one could enter the game while wearing a game helmet. This was the feeling right now, and it was completely real. What a great explosion! Ha! Long Fei laughed excitedly, then said, "Tianling, Go back and replenish your supplies, select the equipment you need, and then swiftly wire it. It was all too fast. It was so fast that the heavenly spirit did not even react, let alone the people from Evil God Palace and Evil God Palace. He was stupefied. Yi Zichen was completely stupefied. The three of them were still in a stupefied state. He couldn't react at all. A sudden double kill, and in a short 3 minutes. Long Fei's appearance caused everyone to be dumbstruck. They couldn't understand it at all. Where did he come from? The evil god's fist loosened, and the anger in his heart completely disappeared. Replacing it was excitement. He said solemnly, Long Fei is indeed Long Fei, but it's just different. Ha! Ha ha! Imperceptibly, Long Fei also gave the Evil God Palace's generals a slap. Especially Ming Wu. His cheeks were a little red, and he was feeling very bad, very bad. The number of military officers was about the same. This slap caused them to be unable to find their bearings. What's going on? How'd he get out? What the hell is going on? The spirits of the main temple were enraged. At this moment, suddenly, Han Ba made his move. The officer in the middle shook and did not retreat, but rushed forward, and just as he was about to rush in, Long Fei appeared again. He did not return to the city. Crack! Combined, it was the third annihilation. The entire audience was once again stunned. The two fighters on the road were also dumbfounded. Long Fei looked at the health of the tower and quickly rushed over. Push the tower, push the tower. Half a minute later, Li Yuanba erupted with strength. He directly clashed against the attack and took on both sides. Another perfect bait. Long Fei avoided the lines of soldiers and suddenly rushed out. Team Annihilation. A godlike existence. Chapter 2051. Good stuff, bring it here. Chapter 2051. Good stuff, bring it here, killing primary school students. It was a total slaughter, and all of them were stupefied. He didn't even know how he died. A red buff begins, fighting all the way down to the road. Falls 5 killing strikes. What kind of existence was this? Deity. The people of both Evil God Palace and Main Temple did not react as their minds were completely blank. Seeing the martial generals fall to Long Fei one by one, the gods behind the Main Temple's sacrificial altar no longer had the heart to curse at them. How could this be? Why? Was there such a method of fighting? Are UF Astra's king seeing a ghost? The third Wei was killed, so it was impossible for him to revive. There was no longer any suspense. The 5 of them collectively pushed forward, singing along the way, and 10 minutes later, the Main Temple's base crumbled. 15 minutes to the base to the record. Everyone was dumbfounded. The system also sounded out a notification sound. Ding! Congratulations to player Long Fei for his victory. The reward is 3,000 gold coins. The corner of Long Fei's mouth curled up as he became excited. At the same time, buzz! The space above the battleground suddenly shook, and a violent explosion resounded. The battlefield immediately disappeared and was replaced by a vast and boundless continent. The evil god trembled slightly and shouted, "Forward!" The evil god army attacked quickly. The Main Temple warriors quickly retreated to the other side of the Red River as if they could not resist at all. They did not resist at all and immediately retreated to the other side of the Red River. Red River. It was a huge river of blood. This was a natural barrier. As long as they could defend the Red River, the Main Temple would have no other choice, unless there was another record of victory. On the altar, Long Fei's group of 5 stood there. Long Fei continued to browse through a Kali shop and did not buy anything else. He spent all the gold he earned from the Hero Alliance to buy the Angry Stones. His gold coins were equivalent to other people's contribution points. This kind of thing was regarded as a great treasure in the battleground. As long as a certain amount was obtained, it could be exchanged for all sorts of heaven-defying things. But Long Fei did not need it. What he wanted was anger mixture. He didn't need any of those equipment, no matter what Infinity Sword S, no matter how dilapidated they were, or how much they drank. What he wanted was a medicine that could make people bigger and thicker. Ha! The evil god laughed heartily as he walked up from behind the sacrificial altar. He looked at Long Fei as if he were looking at a flawless treasure, and said, Long Fei, you really did not disappoint me. Long Fei smiled faintly and did not speak. Li Yuanba said in a displeased tone, It seems like no one is optimistic about us. We are reckless youths, and we are trash. Is that what you said? Ming Wu's face froze. He was in a lot of pain. These words were undoubtedly slapping them in the face. The evil god said, Just now it was just a joke. Don't forget it. Li Yuanba said, We are not joking around. I just want to say that to those who look down on us. What the hell are you guys? Do you have the qualifications to criticize my boss? TCH. It was extremely disdainful. Li Yuanba did not even put these martial generals in his eyes. If not for Long Fei constantly suppressing them, who said that he was not half the match, he would have rushed forward to beat him up. Ming Wu bellowed and said, What are you being arrogant for? Li Yuanba's eyes stared straight at Ming Wu and said, We are being arrogant. What do you think? Ming Wu's heart sank, his fists tightened, and his joints popped out. The evil god's eyes widened, and the aura around Ming Wu's body loosened. The evil god laughed and said, Long Fei, I really have to thank you this time. I want to know just how you did it. No need to thank me, as long as you keep your promise. Long Fei didn't mind at all, but in fact, to be honest, Long Fei still had to thank the evil god for letting him know in advance what kind of situation the battleground was in, and also let him know the rules of the battleground in advance. Without a doubt, this was a large group of primary school students. As long as he could break through the ancient entry, then all of the battleground would be under his control. The evil god's eyes narrowed. A military general beside him whispered, Sir, we cannot let him leave. 15 minutes to the base. He knew about the records for tens of millions of years. It was not because Long Fei was strong, but because his tactics were very special. Obviously, he was very familiar with the battleground. Once this kind of person left, it would be a huge loss to the evil god palace, and if he went to the main temple side, it would be even more disadvantageous. The evil god knew in his heart that Long Fei was a rare talent. Destroying Long Fei right now was the best opportunity. Relying on the power of the evil god, and also being in the battleground, he could easily crush Long Fei. At this moment, the murderous intent in his heart rose. Long Fei was also clear that although the evil god couldn't compare to the power of a sovereign, he was definitely the controller of the ancient code and had cultivated his ancient code power to the peak realm. In battle, he was definitely not a match for the evil god. As he was a practitioner of the killing principle, he could easily sense the killing intent of anyone around him, including the evil god. At this moment, Long Fei raised his eyes and looked at the evil god. Li Yuanba and Tianling were secretly on alert, preparing to take action. The evil god said indifferently, I know that you want to find the ancient entry, to open the third entrance and enter the battleground. Long Fei, the ancient entry is not that easy to open, and the powers of the main temple do not allow you to do so. Long Fei said, This is my problem. I won't trouble you to take care of it. Careful. The evil god also sensed the killing intent in Long Fei's body and said, If, I'm saying if, you're unable to connect to the ancient entry, do you want to overthrow the main temple together with me? The evil god looked at Long Fei seriously. Long Fei did not reply immediately. Instead, he pretended to be deep in thought and paused for a moment, then said, Destiny god provoked me, he died. Sky god provoked me, he also died. If I really am unable to open the ancient passage, I will join hands with you to overthrow the main temple and pull the god down. All right. The evil god gave a heavy laugh and said, Long Fei, that's exactly what I want to hear. The killing intent in his heart immediately vanished. Then, the evil god moved his hands, forming a seal. He immediately activated the gigantic void door and said, You can leave this place and return to the Deep Abyss Mountain. Long Fei, Deep Abyss Mountain is extremely dangerous. You must be careful. In addition, what happened before was my fault. This is what I meant. The evil god took out a strange box from his chest pocket and said, This was obtained from my foreign domain. I don't know what is inside, but you directly told me that it should be good stuff. You are very special. I believe you can open it. Long Fei did not accept it. He did not believe in the evil god. However, at this moment, the Sleeping Beauty suddenly opened her eyes and said, "Good stuff, bring it over." Chapter 2052, Third Gobbledygook? Chapter 2052, Third Gobbledygook? The Sleeping Beauty had not woken up since Long Fei had entered the ancient god battle. Suddenly, a voice rang out, causing Long Fei to be slightly shocked as he asked, "Sister, why are you awake?" The Sleeping Beauty said straightforwardly, "Don't worry about that for now. This black box is full of good stuff. Hurry up and get it. Urgent." It was as if the thing could fly away. If even she was in such a hurry, then the contents of this black box must not be simple. Immediately, Long Fei pretended to be very calm and joked, "Don't tell me this is a special item to follow me." Although he said that, Long Fei still extended his hand out to receive it. Evil God said, "Long Fei, don't worry. Even if I wanted to follow you, I wouldn't use such a method." There was no change in his expression, but his palm was oozing with cold sweat. He was truly afraid that Long Fei would not accept it, just like Long Fei had said. Although he had coincidentally obtained this black box from another realm, there was still a trace of his aura on this box. As long as Long Fei kept the box by his side, he could control Long Fei's movements at any time. Long Fei saw through it with a glance. The evil god's heart tightened. He was really afraid that Long Fei wouldn't want it. Seeing Long Fei extend his hand out to receive it, he finally relaxed a little. The power that Long Fei had displayed was too strong. He definitely could not let anyone obtain this kind of person. Long Fei laughed. "I was just joking. Don't be too serious." "All right, then I'll thank Lord Evil God. If there's nothing else, then we'll be leaving first." Finished. Long Fei's eyes moved. Ziyu entered the distorted teleportation gate first. Li Yuanba and the Holy Spirit followed. Hanba hesitated. Long Fei said, "Hanba, you are my man now. Why don't you leave with me?" Hanba didn't look at the evil god, but looked at Long Fei, and then stepped into the portal. He was somewhat confused. Maybe leaving Battleground was a good choice. Long Fei said, "Lord Evil God, we will meet again in the future." The evil god waved his hand and said, "See you later." Long Fei stepped into the portal, and the portal closed as well. Mingwu immediately stepped forward. "Master, why are we letting him go? A person like Long Fei cannot be obtained by the main temple, if not." The evil god didn't wait for him to finish and immediately said, "Investigate his movements clearly. I want to know how he did it. As for his whereabouts," the evil god revealed an evil sneer, "he won't be able to escape my palm. Long Fei, you are mine. Don't worry, you will definitely not be able to beat Ancient Entry." He was very clear about what kind of existence the Ancient Entry was. Not to mention God-child Zhan Wushuang guarding the Ancient Entry. Even if Zhan Wushuang did not guarding Long Fei, the Ancient Entry would still be a dead end. He wouldn't be able to get through it all. As long as Long Fei couldn't get through the entrance, he would obediently become his tool. The evil god grinned. "Right now, what we need to do is to research Long Fei's tricks. Also, we have one more thing to do. Mingwu, go and spread the news that Long Fei has entered the battleground. I want to make the hatred between the two of them deepen a little, so that Long Fei has no other choice." Mingwu trembled and immediately said, "As you command." As long as the hatred between the main temple and Long Fei reached a certain depth and Long Fei was unable to defeat the Ancient Entry, then he could only choose to join his Darkness Alliance. With Long Fei's help, he would definitely be able to take down the battleground. Mingwu said, "Master, what if Long Fei managed to open the Ancient Entry?" The evil god laughed lightly. "Even if he tries to break through the entrance, he won't be able to. The Ancient Entry had a group of untouchable monsters inside the Ancient Beasts. No one could break through the Ancient Beasts, and even if they could, Long Fei would not be able to. Everything was under his control." Buzz! Buzz! The five of them stood at the foot of the mountain of the Deep Abyss Mountain. From start to finish, they had never stepped into the Deep Abyss Mountain. Li Yuanba was displeased. Damn, so we didn't even go in? The heavenly spirit said, this evil god is an illusionary power. It's really strong. I can't detect it at all. I just inexplicably stepped into the illusions. Han Ba said, the power of the evil god's illusion is invulnerable. Unless it's a sovereign, no one can break it. Long Fei looked at Han Ba and asked, how much do you know about the evil god? Han Ba laughed bitterly and said, if I hadn't said that I know you, I would still be an unknown little soldier. Long Fei, I'm truly sorry. He was the one who brought Long Fei into the battleground. He felt guilty. He wanted to change the world. He thought he could change the world, change the rules, but he discovered that he was too weak. The Darkness Alliance that he had chosen could not change this world either. Even if they were to win, this world would still be the same as before, with only a few gods and a few rulers. There would be no changes at all. Long Fei said, you don't need to apologize, I should be thanking you. What are your plans now? Han Ba shook his head and said, I don't know, I want to return to Divinity and return to my original location. Divinity, a plane above Chaos Realm. The plane was almost on the same level as the ancient god battle. To be exact, Divinity was born even earlier than the primordial divine war. It was only because of the existence of Battleground that the primordial divine war became even more famous. The Divinity was the center point of the 100,000 planes. The various powerful races within the 100,000 planes all came from the Divinity. The Long family that Long Fei belonged to, the dragon race, came from the same place. Long Fei did not stop her. Since you want to return to the starting point, then you can go. Han Ba smiled and said, I helped you to clear the path to ancient entry before, so you've helped me before. Now, I should be the one helping you as well. Li Yuanba gave a silly smile and said, another brother now. Han Ba immediately merged with Li Yuanba and Tian Ling, and the three of them led the way, directly charging into the deep abyss mountain. Ziyu walked to Long Fei's side and asked curiously, why are you so familiar with the terrain of the battleground? Have you been inside? Long Fei laughed. In my dreams, do you believe that? Ziyu looked at Long Fei. The man in front of her was simply like a mystery, and the more she looked, the more she couldn't see through him. Sister, what's inside? It's rare for you to be so excited about something like this. Long Fei muttered to himself. He really rarely saw her so excited. Last time it was the star book S of the Holy Buddha. Other than this, Long Fei had never really seen the Sleeping Beauty this excited. Could it be, is this also the Gobbledygook S book in the black box? Chapter 2053, Descending the Dragon. Chapter 2053, Descending the Dragon, the 10 great Gobbledygook S of the universal world. The heavens, the earth, the stars, the stars, the stars, humans, beasts, demons, gods, and Buddhas were all extremely special existences. Some had masters, while others were scattered throughout the universe. Every single one of them had tremendous power. In the universal large world, whoever obtained a set of gobbledygook would become the super ruler of a region. Legend. If the 10 gobbledygook combined, they would form an ancient, huge painting. The painting contained a heaven-defying treasure, and the owner could become a grandmaster. The gobbledygook were scattered all over the place. In order to find one, not only required luck, but also luck. Long Fei obtained the 2 books through luck. The Sleeping Beauty said excitedly, you got the right answer. Full marks, hee. What a pity. No rewards. Long Fei was shocked. As expected. What kind of gobbledygook is inside? The Sleeping Beauty said, I don't know about that yet. I can only guarantee that there's a gobbledygook-esque book inside. However, I am not sure about its attributes. Long Fei said, just open it and see. Then, Long Fei was stunned again and said, even Powerhouse like the evil god was unable to open it, so this black box is definitely not ordinary. The Sleeping Beauty said, opening it isn't difficult. It just needs something. Long Fei immediately asked, what is it? The Sleeping Beauty said, the dragon's blood possesses incomparable corrosive properties. It can open any mechanical box. Giant dragon blood? In Long Fei's mind, the image of the gigantic dragon from the world of dragon coffin cultivation appeared. The gigantic dragon's blood that the Sleeping Beauty had mentioned should be his. The gobbledygook is an existence that can't be destroyed with any kind of power. As long as you get the dragon's blood, you can open the black box. The reason the evil god can't open the box is because he doesn't know what box it is and what is hidden inside. Obtaining it from the other realms was a chance he could chance upon. It was easy to get. In the eyes of the evil god, it was only a strange box, nothing special. How would he know that it contained one of the 10 great gobbledygook among the universal large world? If he knew, he would have never given it to Long Fei even if he was beaten to death. Long Fei replied, "I understand." And then, the Sleeping Beauty stretched her waist and said, "Master, if the 10 great gobbledygook can be fused together, an ancient giant painting would appear. It contains a peerless treasure, and whoever can obtain it will become the strongest Ji-Zun of the universal world. This is the most tempting part of the 10 great gobbledygook, so you must hide your gobbledygook well and not be discovered." "All right, I'm sleepy. Master, I'm going to sleep." After she finished speaking, the Sleeping Beauty laid down softly and fell asleep. Without any prelude, it instantly entered the sleeping mode. Long Fei felt a chill in his heart. Among the 10 great gobbledygook, there is actually such a peerless secret treasure hidden. I seem to see a peerless treasure waiting for me. Long Fei's idea moved. He entered the dragon coffin cultivation mode. A huge dragon, Long Fei shouted. He needed the dragon's blood, and he needed to know what type of gobbledygook was in a box. Roar. With a dragon's roar, Long Fei's eardrums almost burst open. The huge dragon body appeared, and like a giant, it took over the entire sky. 2 eyes that were shining with a gold light stared at Long Fei and said coldly, "What are you calling me for?" Long Fei revealed a fawning smile and said, "Can you give me a drop of your blood? You want my dragon blood?" The colossal dragon was stunned. Long Fei said, "Yes, a drop will do." The colossal dragon was so huge that a drop of blood was just a hair of 9 oxen to him. He would probably agree. However, just as Long Fei finished speaking, the Titan's eyes narrowed and shouted coldly, "No, there is no room for negotiation. F***CK. It's just a drop of blood. Is there need to be so petty? It's not like I want a basin of blood or your life." Long Fei said in annoyance. The colossal dragon glared at him and said, "I am petty, just not good enough. How can I drop it?" "Bite me, Long Fei." If he could, Long Fei would go up and bite him, at least to get a drop of dragon blood. Looking at the scales on the colossal dragon's body that was even larger than him, it was fine if he just thought about it. "Don't break your teeth." The colossal dragon saw that Long Fei had sagged and said, "You can have my colossal dragon's blood." The martial arts training steel armor beast mode had already been broken. However, alchemy, artifact forging, formation, all of these things are in a wasteful mode. Long Fei said, "As long as I break through these limits, will you give me the blood of a dragon?" The colossal dragon replied, "Correct." Long Fei clenched his teeth and said, "Fine, you just wait and see. When I go crazy, even I am afraid of myself." To achieve a breakthrough in all of these supporting occupations was not an ordinary feat. Refining the divine pellets, forging the holy artifact, and carving the divine array was not an ordinary feat. Moreover, the divine level cultivation method was completely different from the divine level cultivation method in the ancient world. The higher the grade, the harder it was to refine. However, Long Fei never gave in. Since he said such words, he would do his best. Never admit defeat. The idea moved and left the training space. The colossal dragon mumbled to itself, "Long Fei, you have to be fully prepared. Universal large world is completely different from this kind of small world. I will make you an all-powerful existence. This is the only way for you to stand firmly in the universal large world." Everything he did was not for Long Fei now, but for Long Fei's future. What did a drop of dragon blood count for? Even if Long Fei wanted his dragon head, he didn't care. What he needed was for Long Fei to cultivate even more assiduously. Although Long Fei was already working hard, it was not enough. Everything he controlled now was like trash. This is so infuriating. Long Fei panted heavily and was extremely unhappy. Isn't it just a drop of blood? Ziyu looked at Long Fei's furious expression and asked, "What's wrong?" Long Fei shook his head. Nothing. At this moment, the sky spirit suddenly stopped and said, "Boss, there's a broken temple up ahead." Long Fei raised the center of his brows. His divine sense slightly moved as he said, "There is killing intent. Everyone, be careful." Long Fei put aside the dragon's blood and fully focused on being on guard. Even the evil god said that the Deep Abyss Mountain was extremely dangerous, so it could be seen that this place was truly dangerous. Han Ba said, "I'll go scout first." Then, Han Ba's body sank, directly entering the ground and disappearing. Li Yuanba said, "I'll go take a look." Inside the broken temple, Zhan Wushuang's silhouette stared coldly at a monk and said coldly, "Hand him over." The monk grinned and said, "This thing doesn't belong to you." "Humph." Zhan Wushuang scoffed coldly. "8 King Kong, you must be a dragon-subduing fist, right? Go and bring down the ghost." Chapter 2054, Blasting Fist and Law Fusion. Chapter 2054, Blasting Fist and Law Fusion Ba. The monk clasped his hands together and spoke softly. Zhan Wushuang's image had already attacked. The strong force directly covered the entire temple. With him as the center, the force crazily rushed towards the descending dragon. The monk was not afraid. A golden light flashed in his eyes as his body suddenly changed. Roar! His body immediately transformed into a golden dragon. Golden. He roared in the air. Zhan Wushuang's eyes turned cold. He wanted to compare himself to the 8 King Kong at that time, but the current 8 King Kong was simply way stronger than him, as if he was a completely different person. Every King Kong could take charge of himself. Their current power was extremely terrifying. If all the 8 King Kong were to gather together, what kind of big move would they form? It was hard to imagine. However, thinking of this, the killing intent in Zhan Wushuang's heart became even stronger. 8 King Kong. If Kong Kim was one less, then they wouldn't be able to assemble such a big move. So, die, boom. The power of the law of fate turned malevolent. A sword that reaped the harvest of destiny landed in his hands, and with a movement of his body, he created countless illusions, each of which seemed to be solid. Kill. The long sword slashed out. The golden dragon kept dodging, escaping the control of fate, but he was still unable to contend with the power of the law of fate. The 10 million swords came crashing down. A golden light burst forth from the body of the descending dragon. He could not dodge and could only passively defend. Boom, boom, rumble. Waves of powerful law energy crushed down on the body of the golden dragon, causing it to suffer a great deal of pain. Its expression became exceptionally ugly. The golden dragon's body was also struck back to its original state. Bam! He fell from the sky and spat out a mouthful of blood. Then, the descending dragon sat cross-legged as he recited an incantation. The golden light around his body receded, turning into a black glow of the power of hell. When Zhan Wushuang's silhouette landed, it trembled inwardly. The power of law is only slightly injuring him. How hard is this 8 King Kong exactly? Even High God Powerhouse had no way of resisting the power of law. He couldn't stop it at all. But 8 King Kong was completely different. The dragon subduing was only slightly injured. The murderous intent in Zhan Wushuang's heart became even stronger. Seeing the black light emitting from Luo Long's body, his eyes turned sinister. Die. Boom. A full force slash. A sword slashed down on the head of the descending dragon. The dragon did not move. As the long sword fell, the black energy on his body burst forth with a humming sound. A loud explosion resounded. The black energy rushed forward and formed a black aura. It was extremely sinister and directly blocked Zhang Wushuang's sword. Moreover, in that moment, the black Arhut dragon subdued into a black stream of energy and attacked Zhang Wushuang's phantasm. Zhang Wushuang's face changed slightly. He retreated step by step and said, I never thought that I would still have the ability to retaliate, but 8 King Kong is still a little too inexperienced. His footsteps became heavy. Standing there, Zhang Wushuang quickly formed a seal with his hands, and the power of the defense law suddenly erupted. Under the attack of the dark descended dragon Arhut's power, he stood at his original spot without suffering any damage. The heaven-defying defense of the defense law would not be harmed at all. Zhang Wushuang grinned and laughed. Your strength is too weak. Go and die for me now. At this moment, a loud shout came from the sky. Mother of Asterisker, who did you say is too inexperienced? I think you're too inexperienced. Boom, boom. When the two figures landed, Li Yuanba, heavenly spirit, Xiaolong immediately laughed out loud. You're finally here. I miss you guys to death. Zhang Wushuang's face changed greatly as he said solemnly, Long Fei, come out. Long Fei slowly walked in from the entrance of the rundown temple and said with a smile, Zhang Wushuang, we meet again. I really miss you. The corner of Zhang Wushuang's mouth drew back, and he laughed sinisterly. I've missed you too. What do you think? How does it feel to be chased and killed by a woman? In that instant, Long Fei's eyes turned cold and extremely cold. It's really you. Ha ha. Zhang Wushuang laughed out loud and said, other than me bringing you together with your woman, who else would be so concerned? Long Fei, don't worry, your family and your women will all be reunited with you, huh? He controlled the laws of fate, controlled the soul, controlling even more, and easily controlled the souls absorbed by the destiny god. F***CK. You're courting death. Without waiting for Long Fei to get angry, Li Yuanba exploded with power. As if the energy in his entire body had transformed, it instantly entered his diamond body, and the giant spirit axe slashed down. Shua! A powerful force broke through the air. Zhang Wushuang gave a cold laugh and said, Is it only this kind of power? Too weak. Without moving from his original spot, the power of the defense law wrapped around him. When Li Yuanba's King Kong power slashed down, the defensive shield above Zhang Wushuang's simulacrum did not budge an inch. Zhang Wushuang sneered. The defense law that I control is not the trash's defensive power like the sky god. My defensive power is the strongest defensive power in this world. You want to break my defense law? You overestimate yourself. It was extremely disdainful. This was also a type of confidence. Because the law that he controlled was the defense law, and the defense of any of the laws could not be compared with the strength of the defense law. Moreover, one more thing, he still had a defense main artifact. This was even more unshakable. Li Yuanba was extremely unhappy. He moved his body again and struck down with another strike. However, it was the same as before. The defense law on Zhang Wushuang's body did not budge an inch. Abnormal defense. It was quite abnormal. Li Yuanba was even more unhappy. Damn it, I don't believe it. Long Fei pulled Li Yuanba and said, Recover. Leave it to me. Long Fei walked forward, looked at the defense law on Zhang Wushuang's body, and smiled slightly. Do you know what the strongest defense is? Zhang Wushuang laughed. Of course it's my god shield. Do you still need to say this? Long Fei said, It's an attack. As soon as he finished, Long Fei disappeared in place, and in that instant, he drank the rage mixture he bought from the battleground, and his power increased. Multiplied enhancement. At the same time, Long Fei frowned. Ultimate boxing. Buzz. Ding. Target locked. His fists sank. Zhang Wushuang looked at Long Fei as both his fists sunk. He immediately thought about what happened at Devil Island. His gaze tensed up as the defense law exploded in a form visible to the naked eye. At the same time, Long Fei shouted in his heart, Killing Principle. Buzz. The power of the killing principle fused into the blasting fist. Immediately, Long Fei's fists trembled extremely quickly, as if he was unable to endure the fusion of the two powers. It was a completely new experience, one that he had never experienced before. What kind of damage would the blasting fist and ancient code power do? He smashed down at Zhang Wushuang and bellowed, "Break for me!" Chapter 2055, Beauty's Nearing. Chapter 2055, Beauty's Nearing Blasting Fist. Whoever was locked in there would die. God, what would happen? Long Fei had never tried it before. The killing principle was the most savage of all the law energies, and was also the strongest amongst the law of attack. What would happen if it fused with the blasting fist? The blasting fist had 100% penetrative power. Killing principle, 100% real damage. Add the anger mixture. What would become of the combination of all three? Long Fei didn't know either, but even if it was just a tiny shadow, he would still not let it go if he wanted to kill Zhang Wushuang in his heart. Because Zhou's matter had made him exceptionally angry. Furthermore, the souls of his loved ones were all in Zhang Wushuang's hands, making him even more unhappy. Rumble, rumble, rumble. The sky above the rundown temple exploded with bursts of power that shot into the sky, causing the entire deep abyss mountain to be shaken awake. The demon beast roared in the distance, and the ground deep in the mountain range rumbled. The sky was also filled with a loud noise. Li Yuanba, Heaven's Spirit, Descending Dragon, Ziyu, and Han Ba, who were outside the broken temple, all had faces full of shock. They had never seen such power before. Too fierce. Kacha! 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 The defense law shield on Zhang Wushuang's body started to shatter one by one, just like an eggshell being broken. The power of the blasting fist and the power of the killing principle did not disappear just like that. Zhang Wushuang's face darkened. Suddenly, walala, the defense law shield surrounding him shattered, and the power of the blasting fist and the power of the path of annihilation fused together perfectly as they smashed down. Boom! Zhang Wushuang's silhouette suddenly exploded. In the blink of an eye, he had been reduced to smithereens. The wound on his head also turned into zero. However, this was only one of his phantoms, and it couldn't burst anything. Instant kill. Long Fei. From afar, a furious roar sounded. Zhang Wushuang was enraged to the extreme, and he failed yet again. Chaos Realm lost. Devil Island lost. Now, although it was just a phantom image, it was also the microcosm of a battle. He had lost in the end, even though the illusory image didn't have all of his strength, but the fusion of Long Fei's blasting fist and ancient code power made him extremely unhappy. Zhang Wushuang wasn't confident either. Thus, he still lost. Very, very bad. He lost 3 times in a row. Long Fei was simply like his nightmare. Long Fei said with a grin on his face, "Zhang Wushuang, you little bastard." In his heart, he was equally infuriated. "Get the hell down here." Long Fei was unable to sense Zhang Wushuang's position. Even if he did, it would be useless. The distance was too far. He simply could not catch up. "Ha!" Zhang Wushuang laughed and said, "You want my life? You want to kill me? The women who want to save you, the families? Ha ha! Rest assured, I will definitely take good care of them. Huh?" Zhang Wushuang laughed wildly. Boom! Long Fei released the sky principle to its peak. His figure moved millions of kilometers in an instant. He still could not sense Zhang Wushuang's position, and shouted angrily, "If you dare even touch a single hair of theirs, I will make you die a miserable death." "Wow, I'm so scared." Zhang Wushuang laughed. The more nervous Long Fei was, the more excited he became. Zhang Wushuang laughed. "Don't worry next time. I will never lose, absolutely not." "Long Fei, just you wait." Buzz! Zhang Wushuang's voice disappeared. The entire deep abyss mountain returned to peace. Long Fei's heart tightened, his fists clenched tightly, his nails digging into the flesh of his palms, causing blood to drip down. Grandfather, eldest uncle, Luo Shi. Familiar appearances surfaced in his mind. Long Fei was truly a little mad. If he knew where these spirits were imprisoned, Long Fei would definitely go and save them without caring about anything else, but Long Fei didn't know where they were at all. Long Fei wept blood in his heart. I will definitely save you. I swore it with my blood. Zhan Wushuang, if I don't kill you, I swear I won't be a human. Long Fei moved his body and looked behind him. His gaze tightened. The entire deep abyss mountain stretched for tens of millions of kilometers looking around him. The surroundings were exactly the same. I don't know. Long Fei was lost. The idea moved. When he spread out his spiritual sense, he did not sense the auras of Li Yuanba and the others at all. Long Fei's heart tensed up. What kind of shitty place is this deep abyss mountain? Then, Long Fei had no choice but to choose a general direction and fly back. Within the dilapidated temple, Li Yuanba looked at Lu Long and asked, "What are you doing here?" "I've been here ever since I came out of hell," he said. Li Yuanba was waiting for him in the city of martial arts. The heavenly spirit was in the fairy grass valley, and the descending dragon was in the run-down temple in the deep abyss mountain. Everything seemed to have been arranged. And then, Xiaolong seemed to have thought of something and took out a cosmic bag from his waist. He let Luo Li out and asked, "Is this the person you want to capture?" Ziyu said coldly, "Luo Li?" The forehead of the sky spirit twitched as it immediately said, "Hurry up and put him away." Not waiting for him to finish. Luo Li's life was shattered. He instantly died. At this moment, a powerful force directly grabbed onto his body and absorbed two streams of soul force from his body. One was Luo Li's own strength, and the other was the soul of the sky god. Suddenly, completely out of control, on the god's mountain, Zhan Wushuang laughed wildly and said, "Ha ha, ha ha ha." Long Fei, so what if you can break my illusion? Sky god soul is still in my hands. Ha ha, there was one less main god fragment. But to be able to obtain the soul of the sky god was already quite good. And then, Zhan Wushuang said, "I want to go into closed-door cultivation, destiny god. I want to obtain all of the power of the soul controlling." Long Fei escaped from the shackles of fate and became uncontrollable. God's shield only had defense. He needed a strong offensive power of the ancient code, and soul controlling was the best choice. A trace of light flashed in black-robed destiny god's eyes, and he said, "I will do my best to help you." Sure enough, I got lost. Long Fei searched for a long time, but he couldn't find anything. Maybe he did not look for it. Instead, he leaned against a large tree and rested. That strike just now? This is also the limit of the killing principle and the blasting fist. Still not strong enough. What would happen if I were to fuse the powers of time, sky principle, and killing principle into the blasting fist? Next time, I'll definitely knock you over. Just as Long Fei was deep in thought, a few extremely beautiful women who wore revealing clothes and had sexy bodies, causing others to be unable to stop looking at them. Chapter 2056. Let's eat him. Chapter 2056. Let's eat him. The collision of the power of law caused all the demon beasts, demons, and other races in Deep Abyss Mountain to be awakened. This is the Deep Abyss Mountain. It was their world, and no one was allowed to invade it, not even the gods. Humans were their enemies, generation enemies. Long Fei leaned in front of the big tree and was thinking about how to merge the three types of law energies into the blasting fist. Because he was too engrossed with his thoughts, he entered a state of selflessness. The speed of the sky principle, the power of the killing principle, the time laws. Even though I don't have the ability to control it, the time reset should allow me to restore all of my skills back to their cool-down state. The law of time was something his mother had comprehended. He only knew how to reset the time limit in one move. Although it also contained the time laws, Long Fei was still unable to grasp the time laws. However, Long Fei could return to 3 minutes ago after the time had been reset. This way, the skill shouldn't need a cooldown. 3 sets of strength combined with the blasting fist. What would the move do? Just as Long Fei was becoming more and more immersed in his thoughts, his sea of consciousness suddenly shook, and a delicate fragrance entered into his body. At this moment, for peerless beauties twined around him. They were like fairies that had descended to the mortal world. The dress they wore fluttered and the ribbons danced around them, causing one to have an illusion. What was even more shocking was that these women were all born with attractive bones and eyes that could captivate a person's soul. Just one look at them was enough to make any man unable to stop. He couldn't control his body at all. Long Fei was no exception. The physiological response was enormous. The more it was like this, the more the delicate fragrance within his body grew. His body became light as it floated in the air, and his consciousness also gradually became blurry. Charm, an irresistible charm. As his eyelids grew heavier and heavier, Long Fei's heart tightened and his heart trembled slightly. His body sank and he fainted. Humph! I thought that the one who controls the power of law was that strong. But it turns out he can't resist our charm power either. Big sister, this man is so handsome. Why don't we? The woman licked her tongue and gulped. She seemed to be in a hurry. Long Fei was unconscious. However, his consciousness was very clear. Hearing this, his heart immediately became excited. Come on, go on with me. It's my turn. I won't resist. Any one of these four women was a peerless beauty. If they took the initiative, this was simply a form of enjoyment. That's right, big sister. There's no one here anyway. How about we? It was another woman who had evil intentions. Long Fei started to boil again. Come on, huh? It seems like this handsome bro's charm isn't as great as it seems. If you want to go up to me, just say it. Why do you need to do all this? Another girl said, Elder sister, he's a man that can control the power of the laws. Why not let us eat him? Our cultivation will definitely increase by leaps and bounds. Holy sh**t. Emotions don't come from me, but for you to eat me? Long Fei's mind tightened as he muttered. Should I wake up and then forcefully eat them? The delicate fragrance disappeared. The bewitching power in Long Fei's body had also been completely expelled by him. If Long Fei was willing, he could wake up at any time. The reason he pretended to be unconscious was to see what they wanted to do to him. The big sister in the lead said, No, this person is special. We must bring him back to the tribe. This is the clan leader's order. Also, she looked around and said, The goblins, the beastmen, and the other monsters must be searching for him. We can't stay here any longer. Let's hurry back to the tribe. Deep Abyss Mountain was very dangerous. Moreover, the status of the tribe they were from was extremely low, and if they weren't lucky, they wouldn't be able to find Long Fei at all. If they continued to stay, once they were discovered by the people from the other tribes, the consequences would be dire. All right, big sister, we caught the person. The patriarch will probably give us a bit of flesh. I don't like eating human flesh. I like drinking human blood. Human blood is the best form of nourishment. Where's the human whip? Your brain is pretty good too. The human heart is the best. It was hard to imagine. The four of them were actually talking about how delicious a human's trachea and organs were. They drank blood and ate meat, and they didn't even let their brains go. Was this a cannibal? Long Fei's heart immediately went cold. No wonder this Deep Abyss Mountain is so scary. Just when Long Fei wanted to wake up, the four women immediately lifted Long Fei up, and on his white chest, there was the sweet smell of a body, adding on to his skin and skin. Long Fei continued to pretend to be unconscious. Search. This is a gift from the heavens. It's been so many years, yet there hasn't been a single human that can control the laws and enter the Deep Abyss Mountain. This is a great opportunity for us, beast race, to rise again. As long as we absorb the power of law within his body, our race will dominate the ancient gods. Search carefully. Don't let even an inch of it slip by. Even if the people controlling the laws weren't gods, they would still be extremely powerful existences. However, these beast race members of the Ji-Yuan were not afraid at all. They were not afraid at all. He was completely looking down on those who control the laws. Not just them within a radius of tens of thousands of km, many races were the same. They were all unscrupulously searching for Long Fei. There was only one goal: eat him and get strength from his body. Deep Abyss Mountain. It was simply a man-eating mountain range. within the dilapidated temple. What did you say? The various demon beast races in the deep abyss mountain all possess bodies that can resist the power of the law. Impossible, right? Were they not from the 100,000 planes? Come from another world, or some other world? Li Yuanba said in shock. Xiao Long said, I have been here for half a year. My understanding of Deep Abyss Mountain is this is close to the polar region, and their physiques have become different over time. Polar region. This was probably the most difficult place amongst the 100,000 planes. Surviving in this place required a unique physique. During the millions of years that the main temple had controlled, their bodies and souls had slowly transformed in the polar illusions. This was a natural evolution. Many of them were able to withstand the power of law with ease. This was one of the reasons why Deep Abyss Mountain was in danger. The tribes here were enemies to the humans for generations, so the humans could not take even half a step inside. They also could not take even half a step out of the Deep Abyss Mountain, as this place was just like a special world. Their own world. Not only can they resist the attack of the power of law, they also hate humans. As long as they catch them, they'll eat them alive. I wonder if the General Assembly will be in danger. Deep Abyss Mountain drank so much. What a strange race. If I was not careful, I would. Not waiting for him to finish. Li Yuanba had already stood up and walked out of the rundown temple. Where are you going, King Kong? Li Yuanba said. Looking for boss. Chapter 2057, Elder Sister, he wants to duel you. Chapter 2057, Elder Sister, he wants to duel you. Origin Fox Valley. In an extremely secretive valley. The surrounding jungle was dense, and there was no way into the valley. There was only one ancient tree in the valley, and the rest were all cliffs made of diamond and rock. Flying birds and monkeys were not allowed to climb it. This was a natural and dangerous place. Long Fei was carried by 4 absolute beauties from the forest into the valley. The moment he stepped into the valley, white-clothed fairies flew out from the various tree holes on the ancient tree branches. The difference between them and immortals was that their auras were slightly different. Demonic chi. Got it. Got it. We've caught the man that controls the power of law. In the blink of an eye, over 100 foxwomen gathered around. All of them had the same kind of unique looks, and all of them had their own unique features. Some were flirtatious, some were charming, and some were enchanting. Looking at the girls around him, this was a place of warmth and gentleness. It was a place where all men wanted to come in. Holy **T. Are all the beauties in the world here? Is this a girl's country? Damn, if anyone could have so many beautiful wives, wouldn't they all die of sexual bliss? Long Fei's heart started to thump. However, seeing them drooling and drooling, Long Fei felt a chill in their hearts. They were not thirsty, but they wanted to eat Long Fei's flesh and drink his blood. Such a good girl. Why are you eating people? Long Fei was puzzled. At this moment, a lady said, the clan leader is here. Immediately, all the women stepped back, serious expressions on their faces. Long Fei's heart trembled. If ordinary disciples are already so beautiful, then isn't the patriarch the most beautiful out of them all? An old woman walked out from a huge tree hole under the ancient tree. He had wrinkles all over his face, and his hands were covered in age spots. He had a cane, and his hair was white. He looked just like an old granny, just like these girls. The old granny was similarly dressed in revealing clothes, with her chest wrapped around. However, her chest, holy **T, it hurts my eyes. Although Long Fei did not open his eyes, he was able to see the old granny's appearance clearly with his eyes opened. However, the 2 identical girls beside the old granny made Long Fei's heart jump. Twins. The Fox twins of the city of martial arts. After being escorted out by Ziyu, there was no trace of him. Even when Long Fei was unconscious, he was unable to find them. Patriarch, it's this human. How should we eat him? He has the power of law. If we can fuse with his power, then we don't have to be afraid of other tribes. Patriarch, eat him. Eat him. All of a sudden, all the foxwomen started shouting in unison, eat him, eat him. The old granny walked over and glanced at Long Fei. At this moment, The twins also noticed Long Fei and immediately asked, "Master?" The two of them were extremely excited, immediately running over to help Long Fei up. "Master, it's him." The two girls became excited. The entire audience went silent. A woman said, "Your slave nature hasn't changed. Why are you still calling me master? Are you addicted to being a slave?" They all revealed looks of disdain. The grandma's voice grew heavy as she coughed lightly. "Bai Ling, is he the man who saved you?" Bai Ling was the twins' name. "Yes, mother-in-law. He's the one who saved us. Since all of you owe me a favor, then—" The old granny was about to speak. Someone immediately said, "Clan leader, this man has cultivated in the power of law. We cannot let him go. Even if we let him go, he will be captured by other tribes in the deep Abyss Mountain. No way. You can't eat him. He saved us before. He is our savior. Isn't our demon fox race supposed to repay our grace?" Bai Ling and Luo Hua city mistress stood beside Long Fei to protect him. "That's because he helped you, not us. Also, you two have been in human time for so long. Are you two still considered foxes?" "Exactly. You two are not worthy of being foxes. You're just tools used by humans, slaves." All the girls began to despise him. They hated humans and hated their own people as slaves. Since he had been captured, he should have died. To become the tool of humanity made the entire fox race look down upon it. Thus, when they fled here, they were greatly disrespected. If it wasn't for the grandma's protection, the two of them wouldn't have been able to enter the original Fox Valley. The twin women couldn't stop crying. They had always been discriminated against. They also didn't want to become slaves, and they also didn't want to become tools. However, they simply had no other choice. "Clan leader, you don't have to give the order, but you should know the situation of our tribe. We must eat this man and obtain his power," a fox woman with a huge chest said. The surrounding women immediately echoed his words. They looked at Long Fei like hungry wolves staring at a little lamb. The twin girls grabbed onto Long Fei without letting go. The old granny wanted to protect them, but under this situation, if she stopped them, internal strife would appear in the fox race, and they would need Long Fei's power. If he could control another power of the ancient code, then Fox Race would no longer have to fear anyone in Deep Abyss Mountain. He closed his eyes. Upon seeing this, all of the female foxes revealed greedy smiles. "Grandma, Granny, he saved us." The two twin girls were still guarding Long Fei. In their hearts, not only were they grateful to Long Fei, they had also fallen in love with him because he had treated them like human beings. Pull them apart. If they don't listen, then show them something. Humph! Just as the numerous fox race girls were about to pounce on him, Long Fei stretched his hands out slightly as if he had just woken up. Looking at the surrounding fox woman, he said, "Wow, there's so many beauties. I'm not dreaming, am I?" Many fox women were stunned. Everyone was on their guard. Why is the power of charm losing effect? That's impossible. The expressions of the four women who caught Long Fei changed slightly. The power of seduction was indeed strong. But what kind of woman had Long Fei not seen before? Besides, what kind of poison had he never been infected with before? The power of attraction wasn't enough. Long Fei stared at the big-breasted woman and said, "I thought I heard that you wanted to eat me? Come, come, come. Let's find a place to eat alone. I'll let you have your fill." Long Fei laughed sinisterly. It was fine to deal with him, but do not touch the people around him. The twins moved him. "I can't bully them." Long Fei's words stunned all of the girls. One of the ladies said, "Big sister, he want to fight you one-on-one. One-on-one. Fight." Long Fei laughed sinisterly. "I like this crude way." Chapter 2058, Tearing Clothes? I am good at it. Chapter 2058, Tearing Clothes? I am good at it. Long Fei liked to solve the problem in a simple and crude way. 1v1. I like it. But what Long Fei did not expect was that something that he liked even more had happened. The big-chested woman said, "All right, let's find a place to duel. I'll definitely eat you." To the fox-kind warrior, in a duel, whoever won would receive the right to eat that person. Long Fei wanted her to issue a challenge. Then as long as she wins, Long Fei will be hers. Long Fei was stunned. The twin girls immediately pulled Long Fei back and said, "Master, don't fight with her. You're not her match. She's the #1 warrior of the fox race." Worried, they knew of Long Fei's strength, but they knew even more about Big Sis power. It was not an ordinary type of power. The power of the ancient code that Long Fei controlled was completely useless against them. Although the foxes were the weakest amongst the tribes in Deep Abyss Mountain, they were still the warrioress with strong fighting capabilities, and the Big Breast Sister was one of them. People say, Mother Yiksha. It was incomparably fierce. There had never been a single failure in the history of duels. Why are you two stopping me? He has already challenged me, and now he has no choice but to refuse. The Big Breast Sister was overbearing. He did not give Long Fei any way out. She would not allow anyone to stop her from eating Long Fei. As Long Fei was eaten, her cultivation would definitely increase greatly. She had never stopped pursuing martial arts, so she definitely wouldn't miss such a good opportunity. Seeing Long Fei in a daze, the Fox Tribe disciples all thought that Long Fei had been scared stiff. However, no one could see the evil in his eyes, nor the excitement in his eyes. He seriously said, "Do we have to find a place without people to fight it out?" Big Breast Sister replied, "Yes." Long Fei asked again, "Must you do this?" Big Breast Sister said, "Are you afraid?" "I'm afraid it's too late." "I'm a little afraid." Long Fei became excited. "Damn, are you asking for help?" "Sure. Then brother will help you, let you blossom, let you know what it means to be gentle to women, to fight, to eat and drink. These things are not what women should be doing." Long Fei's heart started to turn evil. Staring at Big Breast Sister's chest, and hands started to itch, as if he was unable to endure the thirst. Big Breast Sister, kill him. Kill him. Big Sister, Big Sister. The surrounding foxwomen began to cheer. Each one was more excited than the last. It could be seen that these foxwomen were all quite aggressive. The twins pulled on Long Fei and shook their heads, saying, "Master, don't go. She will definitely eat you alive. Don't go." They were really worried for Long Fei. Long Fei smiled lightly. "Don't worry, I'll be fine." And then, Big Breast Sister's figure moved. Suddenly he was hit by an illusion and landed at an opening in the ancient tree. He crooked his finger at Long Fei and said, "Come." Finished. Big Breast Sister stepped into the tree cave. Without waiting for Long Fei to speak, the foxwoman behind him all stepped forward and shouted in unison, "Go, go, go, go." As he continued to shout, it seemed as if he was afraid that Long Fei might escape. Long Fei smiled lightly and said, "Let's wait and see. Women should be caressed by men." Such a woman was a woman. Otherwise, he would never know what it meant to be a woman and enjoy things for the rest of his life. Long Fei landed at the entrance of the tree with a single leap and revealed an evil smile as he muttered, "Watch how I hit your bud until it blooms." He took a step inside. The tree hole was huge, and the center was like a small square. Light shone from the various tree holes, turning the entire tree hole into a magical place. Long Fei's footsteps fell. He stood in the middle of the hollow tree and said, "Let's fight one-on-one. Come at me." Not waiting for him to finish, a phantom moved, and a sharp claw followed. Shwa! Long Fei was caught off guard. His reaction was slow by half a second, and the clothes on his chest were torn to shreds, revealing 3 bloody lines. He shuddered in his heart. Damn, it was so exciting right from the start. I like it. In the dark, Big Breast Sister licked the blood on his claws and said solemnly, "Such rich, profound chi, such an exciting power." While they were talking, Big Breast Sister's figure disappeared once again. Very quickly, she attacked again. This time, her movement was even faster. Her movements were constantly changing like the moves of a fox. Long Fei stood in his original position motionlessly as he released the power of the killing principle, released the speed and power of the sky principle. But what made him curious was that these 2 powers of law could not sense the position of the Big Breast Sister. The power of law is useless? Just as Long Fei was thinking about this, the clothes at his chest were ripped apart once again. Humph! Power of law. The power of law is trash and useless to us, Big Breast Sister said with disdain. This was the special characteristic of the Deep Abyss Mountain. The polar regions were extremely difficult to survive in. The tens of millions of years of evolution had made the people that lived here abnormally powerful, able to resist the power of the laws of the 100,000 planes of existence. This was their terror. The powerhouse of the laws are useless here. Is that so? Long Fei muttered. A large part of Long Fei's clothes were torn off, causing him to become a little angry. You like tearing clothes that much? Or should I say, you can't wait. You want to see my body? While they were talking, Long Fei's hands pulled and directly tore off his shirt, revealing pieces of muscles, as well as his perfect body. Big Breast Sister frowned, let out a cold snort, and said, "Oomph. Who cares about your body? What I want is your blood essence, your flesh, your heart, your liver, your spleen, lungs, kidneys, and your brain. I'm going to eat everything you have." Holy sh**T. So ruthless? It's not good for a woman to think about eating people, right? And don't you think eating people is disgusting? Why not? I'll eat you up. Rest assured, my way is very harmonious, and you'll definitely like it and enjoy it very much. Long Fei grinned evilly and continued, "It's so hot here, it's not good to wear so much. I've already taken it off. You should take it off too. This will be more fair." Right. While they were talking, Long Fei moved his speed, and the idea formed. Buzz. Soon, Big Breast Sister's expression tensed. She was not afraid at all. In her entire life, she had never been afraid of anyone, so she directly went up to meet him head-on. With a shout, she said, "I will tear you apart." Long Fei's idea turned into a shadow. Shwa! A claw from the sleigh, in the instant of sleigh, in front of the Big Breast Sister. His expression darkened as he cried out, "Damn it!" Long Fei did not show any mercy. Using his hand as a blade, he cut open the clothes on the back of Big Breast Sister. It was just right and did not harm her skin at all. More importantly, the clothes in front of her slid off. Chapter 2059. Subdue all of them. Chapter 2059. Subdue all of them. The scene of the blood vein spitting out blood appeared. Gudong. Long Fei could not help but swallow his saliva as the evil flame started to grow. Big Breast Sister subconsciously reacted as he held onto his chest with both hands. His face turned red as he spoke with extreme hatred. "Evil thief. That's not right. You should have called me a damn scoundrel." Long Fei grinned. The scene made him even more excited, and said, "Duels. I prefer melee combat. How many clothes do you still have on you? So, take it off too." In that instant, Long Fei moved again. Big Breast Sister said angrily, "Do you think I will be afraid of you?" While she was speaking, she made a counterattack gesture and moved both her hands, completely exposing her white chest. Long Fei said sinisterly, "Your chest is exposed." Big Breast Sister was surprised again, his hands covering his chest fiercely, his entire body turning red from anger. Women, no matter what kind of woman you are, you will always be able to protect the most important parts of your body, let alone being in front of an unfamiliar man. Even if Big Breast Sister was the #1 warrior of the fox race. However, in the end, she was still a woman. Her clothes were torn, and her fighting strength had already been reduced by half. In the instant that she was panicking, Long Fei moved once again. He circled behind her, grabbed her panties, and forcefully pulled. "You like ripping clothes, right? Now let's tear it again." Another gauze dress had been torn, and now there was only one left on her body. Big Breast Sister was so angry that smoke was about to come out from his head. She had never met such a shameless hooligan before. He was too shameless, too wretched. Tear off clothes? Come on, rip. They hurt each other. Long Fei looked at the pair of long legs. In his previous life, even if he was playing with these long legs for a year, he wouldn't be tired of them. The Big Breast Sister said angrily, "What are you trying to do?" Long Fei turned evil and shamelessly asked, What do you want to do? Of course it's a 1v1. Finished. Long Fei moved again, and his figure disappeared into the air. Big Breast's sister's face sank. He then went into a defensive position, and his chest appeared again. It's showing again. Ha ha. I saw it all this time. So big. Long Fei laughed sinisterly. Big Breast's sister's face was so red that juice seemed to drip out. In a moment of desperation, his battle prowess fell once again. It was less than a third of the usual amount. Ha ha. Long Fei smiled sinisterly. Women are still women. They're still too inexperienced. While they were talking, Long Fei's figure once again landed behind Big Breast's sister with a whoosh, ripping the last of her clothes off her body. And at this moment, boom, a powerful wall appeared. All of a sudden, the Big Breast's sister was pushed against the wall of the tree hole. You want to eat me? Now I'll eat you first. Long Fei grew dark and evil, and then a crazy melee. Pow! 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 Outside the ancient tree. Everyone waited anxiously. Why hasn't Big Sister come out yet? He couldn't have lost, right? Impossible. Big Sis has never lost before. She is our Fox Clan's #1 warrior. Even if she is the ancient Elephant Clan's warrior, she would definitely not lose. Then why isn't he coming out yet? Is she already eating that man? Does that man truly grasp the power of law? Why didn't I sense it? Everyone whispered. Big Breast's sister held a very high position in the Foxes, and many people worshipped him because his martial power was strong enough. Not a single battle had been lost. A war god. They couldn't help but worry for such a long period of time. The twins were also worried. They were worried about both the Big Breast sister and Long Fei, and more so. It's been so long. Will something bad happen? Should we go in and take a look? No way. Before Big Sister comes out, no one is allowed to go in. The old woman's eyes darkened. She seemed to have sensed something and looked towards the sky, saying, "Hey, you, let's go take a look outside the valley." Patriarch, what happened? The old granny said, "There's an unfamiliar aura approaching." Yes, sir. Are you convinced? If you don't agree, then let's do it again. The Big Breast sister did not have a single ounce of strength left, and said, Yes, yes, I'm convinced. That's more like it. Long Fei grinned and said, Now do you know what it feels like to be a woman? He took out a set of dry clothes from the space ring and threw it onto Big Breast sister's body, saying, You have my Long Fei's imprint on you, and from now on, you are my Long Fei's woman. Don't worry, I won't let anyone bully you. Of course, there will be two outcomes like this. Either I fall in love with you, or I hate you to the bone, and I will never forgive you for the rest of my life. Fortunately, Big Breast sister was at the front. Just as Long Fei had said, she did not know before, but now she knew what it meant to be a woman. Long Fei draped the clothes over her body and felt incomparable warmth. Just this one action caused her heart to melt. Let's go. Go out. Big Breast sister was not easy to walk in, so Long Fei helped her out of the tree cave. It's out. Big Sister is coming out. Why is he still here? What's the situation? The Fox Tribe disciples were puzzled. Big Sister, did you lose? Big Breast sister nodded. He did not feel discouraged, but instead had a blissful expression and said, I lost. I lost my man. The entire audience was stunned. The entire valley quieted down. Lost. And he even said it was a man who lost him? Many people could not accept this. Big Breast sister looked at Long Fei with eyes full of love, then looked at the numerous clansmen under the tree and said, If you don't accept it, you can challenge him. Hubby, you have to accept it too. Let's subdue them all. Chapter 2060, Three Tribes. Chapter 2060, Three Tribes. Hundreds of Foxwoman-s. If they submitted, this was a huge project. The amount of time needed to face them was at least huge. Long Fei trembled and was startled. Both of Big Breast sister's hands wrapped around Long Fei's neck and said charmingly, If you love me, then you want the entire fox race to submit, and you want them all to be your women. Hubby, you can do it. The Big Breast sister revealed a mischievous expression. I can't satisfy you alone. With this many sisters, I should be able to satisfy you, right? Long Fei looked at the beauties and muttered, "Damn, I'm afraid this is not good, right?" You never know what a woman is thinking. Long Fei was worried that the big breast sister would dig a hole for him to jump into, so he didn't care about where he would find the big breast sister. He looked at Long Fei and said, "Hubby, can't you do it?" After hearing those words, Long Fei immediately became angry and said, "Call them over." There was nothing a man couldn't do. Big breast sister laughed and said, "Did you hear that? He wants to challenge all of you." Immediately, all of the foxwomen took a step forward with eyes filled with rage. "Oomph. I've never seen anyone so arrogant. Come on, who's afraid of who? To challenge our entire fox race. Isn't that a little too presumptuous? Big sister, are you sure he can take it?" Discussions broke out. All of them were eager to try, as they had been wanting to eat Long Fei since the beginning, just like how Big Breast Sister had. Long Fei looked at each and every one of them, and his heart was secretly filled with evil, as he said, "Looks like we'll have to massacre everyone here today." At this moment, the patriarch walked out, looked at Long Fei, and said, "I'll be the first one up." Plop! Long Fei could not even stand steadily and almost fell down from the tree, and immediately said, Forget about the patriarch, right? I really can't take this." Big Breast Sister snickered. The patriarch was depressed. "Then no one is allowed to challenge me. In addition, you have defeated the fox warrior. According to our fox race's etiquette, we should treat you as our guest of honor. You are a human, and the foxes have been enemies for generations, so you cannot enter the tree hollow." The old granny said. Long Fei jumped down from the tree and said, "No problem." Big Breast Sister was a little reluctant. The old granny glared at Big Breast Sister. Her eyes were sharp, the cane in her hand shook. She shouted, "Enter the cave! Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh! Asterisk, whoosh, whoosh, whoosh! Asterisk, whoosh, whoosh, whoosh!" Asterisk, within a few seconds, all the hundreds of foxwomaness had entered the tree hole, leaving Long Fei standing alone in the valley, unable to understand anything. "What's going on? What's going on?" Inside the tree cave, the old granny's expression was serious as she stared at Big Breast Sister. Although she did not see it, she knew that there was a change in Big Breast Sister's body. One limp, that was all. It was also very clear that the old granny was someone who had been through a lot. Big Breast Sister kneeled down and said, "Patriarch, I'm sorry. I broke the ring." With that, the old granny took a step forward and lifted the sleeve of the Big Breast Sister that was still dressed in Long Fei's clothes. Zhang Xian frowned. Everyone was shocked. "Big sister, you. How could this be? That damn human. I'll immediately go out and kill him. This is going too far. Humans don't have any good stuff." All of their gazes revealed hatred, wishing that they could tear Long Fei into pieces. Big Breast Sister said, "Everything is my fault. It has nothing to do with him. I am willing to bear all the punishments." The twins immediately said, "Grandma, Long Fei is not a bad person. He is different from the other humans. He was the one who saved us. The two of you should have been tainted by him, right? Bastards. I shouldn't have let the two of you into the valley. Patriarch, this man must die." They hated humans for generations, especially men. They knew very well that the reason they had been captured and trained was to serve men. Long Fei taking care of their big sister in their mountain valley was equivalent to insulting them and their sacred grounds. The eldest sister knelt in front of him and said, "Clan leader, everything was voluntary and has nothing to do with him. I beg you, please don't make things difficult for him." She knew the consequences of being hit by Long Fei's wall. She knew she couldn't hide it. However, she didn't want Long Fei to die here because Long Fei was her man, the man she loved. The grandma's eyes darkened. The surrounding foxwoman-s cursed, looked down on him, and some of them even went even madder, wanting to rush out and fight to the death with Long Fei. The old granny shook the cane in her hand and said coldly, "Lock her up. As for that human, observe her for a few days first." Big Breast Sister said, "Thank you, Patriarch. Thank you, Patriarch." At this moment, the idol of her, the #1 warrior of the fox race, instantly crumbled. Many people spat on her face, but she did not complain at all, She was willing to give up everything for Long Fei. In the valley, Long Fei looked at the surrounding cliffs and muttered, "Deep Abyss Mountain is not simple. My power of law is actually useless." It seems like this is the most frightening thing about Deep Abyss Mountain. I wonder how Big Breast Sister is doing. If we could take down the entire Demi-Fox race's women, then it would be very comfortable. Someone is beating the back, someone is beating the legs, and there's even someone carrying tea to pass the water. This is life. After a long time, when Long Fei saw that no fox woman came out from the tree cave, he sat cross-legged. The idea moved. Enter the training mode. Refining mode. The world that Long Fei resided in suddenly changed and appeared on top of a huge refining platform. If he wanted to obtain the dragon's blood, he would have to break through all of these supporting occupations and complete the mission. Also, he still had a main god fragment on him. If he could successfully insert it into the Yama edge, then the thousands of people beheaded might would be even more formidable. Ding! Refining failed. Buzz! Long Fei's idea sank again. Both its mind and body had split apart as if it had died once. Again. Ding! Refining failed. Continue. Refining failed. Although Long Fei's refining proficiency did not increase, his understanding towards refining continued to increase. The night passed in silence. Early morning, a fox woman hurriedly returned to the valley from the outside and took a look at Long Fei before he drilled into the hole in the tree. Patriarch, the ancient elephant tribe, the demonic wolf tribe, and the fierce tiger tribe have surrounded the jungle outside the valley so that not even a drop of water can leak out. The grandma's expression changed, and she said, "Even if 3 tribes is here. Patriarch, they must be here for that human. No, we have to eat him first. Once we grasp the power of the laws on his body, the 3 tribes will not be able to do anything to us. Patriarch, eat him first, then fight it out with the people from 3 tribes. Agree, agree, eat him first. Thank you for your support." Chapter 2061. Hardness. Chapter 2061. Hardness. Long Fei was the culprit. Eating him would also increase the strength of the foxes and would also remove the cause of disaster, allowing the 3 tribes to leave the valley. This was killing 2 birds with 1 stone. The old granny steeled her heart and thought to herself, "What people wish for, Long Fei. Even though you are handsome, you can't blame me for that." For the sake of the foxes, she could only make a choice. If Long Fei died, the people from 3 tribes would definitely leave. Just as the fox tribe was researching how to eat Long Fei was still crazily cultivating in his cultivation mode. Ding! Refinery failure. I can't get the reward. Boom! Once again being blasted to death. The moment Long Fei's violent temper rose, he shouted out heavily, "Then let's do it again." He was as furious as a wild bull. He continued on crazily. Artifact forging was different from killing steel armor beast. It needed to comprehend it bit by bit and develop its own thoughts bit by bit. In training space, it was impossible to obtain a skill or proficiency, and it was useless even here, even if Long Fei's refining techniques had reached the pinnacle of this world. The level of equipment forging in this cultivation mode completely exceeded that of 100,000 planes. Everything that Long Fei knew in the past was completely useless. Ding! Fail! Boom! The idea was smashed into pieces. Long Fei experienced death once again, and now he was numb to it. He no longer felt anything about death, so he roared out in his heart, again, just as he was engrossed in refining the spirit artifact. The twins approached each other soundlessly. "Master Long Fei, Master Long Fei." Long Fei quickly recovered. "The 2 of you?" Bai Ling anxiously said. "You should leave quickly. Granny will really study how to capture you. If I eat you, you should leave quickly and never come back." Long Fei's heart trembled and said, "You still want to eat me? Then, where's the Big Breast Sister?" Long Fei immediately wanted to beat Big Breast Sister up. He could tell that the Big Breast Sister was definitely in love with him. They would definitely not participate, and They would not allow fox race people to eat him. Bai Ling said, Big Sister will be fine after being locked up. Master Long Fei, you should leave quickly. If you don't, it'll be too late. Also, you must not leave from the bramble forest at the front of the valley. There are people from the 3 tribes there, and they're also here for you. Long Fei was secretly surprised, thinking back to a fox tribe disciple who hastily walked into the cave in the tree not long ago. He said, He also came for me. The twins said, Master Long Fei, don't think too much into it right now. Hurry up and leave. When you leave the Deep Abyss Mountain, the tribes and humans of the Deep Abyss Mountain are irreconcilable. They will not let you pass through the Deep Abyss Mountain alive. The tribes of the Deep Abyss Mountain had once served humanity as well, but after the victory of the war, they were abandoned. Thus, they hated humans for generations. Hatred was absolutely irreconcilable. Long Fei did not understand so much and was too lazy to care about all these. His woman would not do if she was locked up. He had already said a few hours ago that he would protect her. Being captured now, what was this? What was a man like him? Are you talking nonsense? Long Fei asked. Is 3 tribes still surrounding the Brambles Forest? The twins said, Well, don't worry. They won't be able to come in. Their bodies aren't as agile as the ones in the forest. They won't be able to come in. This jungle was extremely dense, and ordinary people couldn't enter at all. Long Fei's brows tightened as he muttered, It is indeed difficult to enter this thorny forest, but if we attack with fire, this forest will be the graveyard of the fox race. As the wind blew, thick smoke billowed. When that happened, there would be no place for the foxes to hide. Tell your patriarch, I will go stop the 3 tribes. I will push them back, but if you still don't let go of Big Breast Sister after I push you back, I won't be polite. Finished. Long Fei didn't stop at all, and with a quick leap, he disappeared from where he stood. The twins stared blankly. Not enough time to stop it. His eyes filled with incomparable anxiety. He loudly shouted, Master Long Fei, don't go anywhere. You're not their match. Hurry up and leave. It was also at this time. The foxes all rushed out together, surrounding the twins. Patriarch, that man ran away. We can't let him escape. He is our trump card. 3 tribes won't let us go without him. Just chase them. The fox race disciple became anxious. When Long Fei left, the 3 tribes was still guarding the valley entrance. They couldn't resist the 3 tribes at all, and if this continued, they would be trapped to death inside the valley. The twins immediately stepped forward and said, Grandma, Master Long Fei said that he will force 3 tribes back. If he can force 3 tribes back, he wants you to let go of Big Sister. If you don't release him, the old woman's eyes trembled slightly. Without waiting for her to speak, a fox elder asked, What will happen if we don't release him? The twins truthfully said, He won't hold back. How dare you? Humph! This is too arrogant. Who does he think he is? Arrogant just because he grasped a tiny bit of the power of law? This is the Deep Abyss Mountain. What the hell is he? You aren't courteous to us? Doesn't he know how he got here? Many of the fox race disciples were very angry. If I can catch Long Fei once, I can catch him twice. They did not place Long Fei in their eyes at all. The clan leader replied solemnly, If he can force 3 tribes back. Ha! Chief, you don't really believe this kind of nonsense, do you? He chose to escape. Do you think that he would go and repel the 3 tribes? Even if he did not escape, how could he repel the 3 tribes? Even a fool wouldn't believe that. Exactly. The 3 tribes is so powerful. As a human. So what if he knows a little bit about the power of law? They're all looking for trouble. They simply did not believe that Long Fei could repel the 3 tribes. Even more so, he didn't believe that Yi Zichen would go. At a time like this, he should be running away. Patriarch, why don't we compromise with the 3 tribes? That man definitely escaped. We 4 tribes are looking for him together. There might be a chance for us to escape. Yes, Patriarch. 3 tribes, we can't even defend against a single tribe, let alone an alliance of the 3 tribes. The twins said, I will definitely do what Master Long Fei says. Grandma, please believe in him. Trust my ass. If he can force back the 3 tribes, I'll do whatever you want me to do, even if it's the same as Big Sister. Me too. It's impossible. The twins were crushed by the tyrannical disciples. Patriarch's eyes darkened. Give him 1 night. Since he did not repel the 3 tribes, there is no need for us to believe him. 1 night, there was nothing to be done. Just traversing through the jungle of thorns would require half a night's worth of time. Of course, this was for others. Long Fei was different. He was scared by these thorns. Do you want to accept it? Do you want to accept it? Either it got stuck here or it got stabbed there. Moreover, these thorns were not ordinary thorns, they were poisonous. Long Fei's body had an extremely high resistance to poison. He could not feel any of this poison, but he was very annoyed. So annoying. After about half an hour, he had walked less than 10 meters forward, which made him feel a little uncomfortable. Fuck you. Long Fei shouted a vulgar word. Looking at the formerly densely packed forest of thorns, his fury rose as he roared out loudly. All of you, go to the side and die. Boom! The dragon's fire burned. Long Fei took a step forward, and the thorns around him instantly turned into dust. When they touched the dragon fire on Long Fei's body, they became powder. Superwatch. Boom! 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 He went berserk along the way, his momentum like a hot knife through butter. It had originally taken a few hours, but now it had taken less than half a minute. Elder, look! There's a fire rushing out from the forest of thorns. A disciple of the fierce tiger tribe quickly reported. At this moment, everyone from 3 tribes walked out. The leader rolled his eyes and said, "Using fire to attack, huh? This jungle of thorns is afraid of fire. Why didn't they think of that at the beginning? Let's go. Let's see what this ball of fire is." The Fox Clan warrior has not cultivated fire element energy, right? The 3 tribes walked up in unison. Suddenly, a huge elephant from the ancient elephant clan suddenly shouted, "It's a human." As soon as he finished, 3 tribes' warrior instantly entered a state of battle, the 2 weapons surrounding the thorny forest entrance till not even a drop of water could trickle through. Boom! It was also at this time. The thorny jungle penetrated through it. Long Fei let out a breath, and said, "Damn, this should be a lot easier now." In the blink of an eye, several hundred pairs of eyes stared at him with naked eyes, unmoving, and these people were all in a half-demon and half-human state. The fierce tiger tribe had tiger stripes all over their body, and their muscles were filled with explosive power. Ancient elephant clan, huge body, immense power. The eyes of the wolf demon flashed with a sinister light. Moreover, they all had one thing in common. They could instantly transform into beasts. This meant that they had 2 different battle styles, and their beast transmogrification was even more terrifying. Long Fei's heart trembled. With a light smile, he asked, 3 tribes? He did not act rashly. The big-breast sister was not afraid of his power of law, and there was no doubt that the warrior was the same. No matter what the reason was, if they could be brought into the battleground, it would be a super army. Of course, if not, then kill them again. You are that human. The leader of the demonic wolf tribe could no longer hold it in. He drooled and said excitedly, "I can already smell the power in his blood. It's so pure." An elder of the fierce tiger tribe said, "Demon Wolf, don't forget our previous agreement." The elder stared at Long Fei and asked, "Did you destroy the fox race?" Long Fei laughed. "Not destroyed. The fox race has already been subdued by me. Now I want to surrender to your 3 tribes. My name is Long Fei. I can bring you guys to act tough, to fly away. The crux of the matter is whether or not you 2 want to act cool, whether or not you 2 want to fly." Long Fei said in a very arrogant tone. This made the people of 3 tribes very unhappy. Everyone's eyes darkened as they stared at Long Fei. Anger was growing. Elder Lai, who said, "There hasn't been a single human that has dared to say such words in front of us. What's the big deal about taming fox race? Surrender to us? Brat, you should take a piss to see your own morals." Not waiting for him to finish, Long Fei raised his eyes, and his body suddenly moved. Boom! The pace was 8 characters, not fast. Anyone could see it clearly. Elder Lai Hu's reaction was extremely fast. The moment Long Fei moved, he reacted, and, seeing Long Fei rush towards him one step at a time, he disdainfully said, "You're overestimating yourself." His body sank. With both hands on the ground, he stomped on the ground. Shwa! An ear-piercing sound of something tearing through the air rang out. His speed was several times faster than Long Fei. Speed could bring one's strength to its limits. The fierce tiger race's speed and strength perfectly fused together, and what they were best at was suddenly using force. An incomparably ferocious, explosive force. Ripples of space tore around his body. Fuck! Long Fei was shocked. It's really fierce. He had to say it. Elder Lai, who had perfectly fused speed and power, and the sudden attack was even more perfect. Such an attack could even be said to be unstoppable by ordinary gods. He's dead for sure. This arrogant human is dead for sure. Ha! Subdue our 3 tribes? Is he even a hair's breadth away? Arrogant in front of us. Isn't this courting death? Many of the clansmen began to mock him. He mocked Long Fei for overestimating himself. They had never been afraid of anyone as to what kind of existence the Deep Abyss Mountain was. Even if he was a god, and didn't dare recklessly enter the Deep Abyss Mountain either, because this was their territory, their world. They were the Paragons. Of course, they did not know Long Fei. He did not even know who Long Fei was. Seeing Elder Lai Hu's explosive strength, Long Fei grinned and said, "That's fierce, I like it." As soon as he finished, Long Fei's 8-word footsteps suddenly dropped, both of his feet rooted to the ground, directly standing in place, not moving an inch. This action caused everyone to be shocked once again. What does he want to do? Waiting for death? Or should I say, he blocked the Elder Lai Hu just like that? Aren't you being too arrogant? Big brother Liehu. He doesn't even put you in his eyes. He's insulting the Liehu tribe. Long Fei did not move. He just stood there and allowed the Elder Lai Hu to strike him. This was an insult to the fierce tiger tribe. Immediately, the outburst of the Elder Lai Hu in the air became a little stronger. Acting cool. You have to act tough. Since the fierce tiger tribe was an expert in speed and sudden burst of power, then crush it completely. Long Fei's body acted as a shield and was just standing there, waiting for you to hit it. It's a go head-to-head with your strongest weapon. How arrogant! In the blink of an eye, the Elder Lai Hu was like a spinning awl, crazily drilling down and causing a hurricane to tremble. The leader of the monster wolf pack. All the elders of the ancient mammoth race were shocked. Boom! It heavily smashed into Long Fei's chest. Buzz! A power exploded out horizontally, causing the air to vibrate with an explosive sound. Long Fei's chest looked like it was about to split open. Every inch of his skin was being torn apart, and he was in incomparable pain. He didn't use any divine power, much less the power of law. It was based on the resistance of the physical body. He withstood it. Long Fei's body did not move. Both of his fists exploded, aimed straight at Elder Lai Hu's head. Suddenly stopping a little away from his head, he chuckled and said, "Are you convinced?" Chapter 2063, System Reward. Chapter 2063, System Reward. Are you convinced? He spoke softly, but to the Elder Lai Hu, it was as if the power of thunder had exploded in his sea of consciousness. Such a powerful force did not push Long Fei back at all, and at that moment, Long Fei's attack landed, but the force that was above his head suddenly disappeared. Obviously, he could definitely seriously injure himself. Difference? Humiliation? The Elder Lai Hu's anger sunk as he let out a roar of a tiger. You can't accept this. Unconvinced. Haha. Long Fei only laughed lightly. The fist floating above Elder Lai Hu's head suddenly moved. Then we will fight until you submit. What does he want to do? His fist is moving. With such a small distance, he simply doesn't have any explosive power. Even if it were to hit Elder Lai Hu's body, relying on his physical defense wouldn't be able to harm him at all. Exactly. Is this human retarded? Explosions required a distance to reach, a distance of less than 10 centimeters. Even if one's strength was extremely high, it would still be impossible for one to unleash much of it. The people around them thought so. Elder Lihu thought so too. His feet landed on the ground, and with a push they formed a bow. All the strength in his body surged once again. His body doubled in size, and the explosive force in his muscles became even stronger. With a deep voice, he shouted, "Charge!" Boom! An explosion sounded in the air. The power exploded out. If the power from earlier was not his strongest power, then this power was definitely the strongest power in his body. However, the instant his strength exploded, Long Fei's fist came down. Humph! With such a close distance, how much explosive power could it have? Elder Lai, who disdained him and simply did not put Long Fei's move in his eyes and did not bother about it either. However, the instant Long Fei's fist landed on his back, his eyeballs were about to pop out. His body sank, his chest caved in, and he suffered from 8 odd meridians, his limbs and bones. It was as if his entire body was pressed down by a huge mountain. That power! They were unable to contend. It wasn't the power of law. Uff! Boom! Elder Lai, whose body sank, and directly knelt in front of Long Fei. Above his head, a huge Buddha image appeared, showing a powerful strength. Power of Buddha. Moreover, it exploded under the influence of the rage mixture. Long Fei was worried that the power of Buddha alone would not be enough to crush Elder Lai Hu, so he could only swallow a bottle of anger mixture. The power of this punch was extremely strong. Elder Lai Hu couldn't take it. Long Fei smiled. There was not a single trace of contempt in his eyes, and only asked, "Are you convinced?" Pretending to be the virgin. He had a kind expression on his face. It was as if Long Fei did not hit him just now. It was as if Long Fei was saving the Elder Lai who was kneeling on the ground. The highest level of posturing. Elder Lai, who wanted to say that he couldn't accept it, but when he saw Long Fei's indifferent expression, he couldn't say a thing. He lowered his head and sighed, then said, "I submit." He couldn't be unconvinced. Long Fei failed to defend in both attacks. He didn't even succeed. However, Long Fei made a simple move and kneeled on the ground. This was the gap between them. It was hard to refuse. The fierce tiger tribe believed in strength. They did not have many tricks, they just had to submit, and if they did not accept it, they would not accept it. Long Fei's actions caused them to be convinced. If Long Fei used his full strength, the Elder Lai, who was probably dead now, just as Elder Lai, who admitted defeat, an ancient elephant's shrill roar resounded. It was also at this moment that the sound of ancient worlds trampling could be heard. Long Fei's eyes went cold and slightly raised. He saw a giant elephant over 4 meters tall charging towards him. Its body was like a phantom image, as if it was a battlefield for giant elephants. The entire valley was trembling. The leader of the monster wolf pack laughed. Elder Lai, who was secretly shocked. This kind of attack was the powerful attack of the ancient elephant clan. It was different from the attack that he had just done. He had only attacked one point, and the ancient elephant clan had attacked the entire surface. There was no place to hide. He too, Elder Lai, whose face darkened. When he was really going to think of a way to block, Long Fei threw him out. Yi Zichen directly threw him to a safe place. Elder Lai, who felt grateful and immediately shouted, "Guxiang Ancient, what are you trying to do? Do you want to kill me too? For an ancient elephant like you, there is no place for you to hide, unless you can leap onto your backs." He was blaming the ancient elephant tribe. At the same time, he was also reminding Long Fei, because Long Fei had even saved him at that moment. The goblin wolf leader shivered. So jumping onto their backs is the way to break through the ancient elephant stampede? Heh. The expression in the eyes of the members of the ancient elephant tribe darkened. Elder Lai, who was right. However, if he wanted to do it, but no one. It was because they would all be smashed into dust by the ancient elephants. Long Fei stood in his original position, still not moving at all. He did not jump onto the back of the giant elephant either. Then I will challenge you to your strongest attack. A giant elephant. Tanks on the battlefield. Furthermore, it was a tank that was charging fast. It was simply a killing machine on the battlefield. Moreover, if they were to cooperate with Giant Clan, that scene, Long Fei was a little excited. In that instant, Long Fei's body sank as he stared at the huge, ancient elephant. The power in his arms suddenly exploded. Buzz! He immediately grabbed the two huge tusks. Crap! The Scorching Tiger Elder's forehead tightened. The Wolf Demon Clan leader laughed coldly. Elder Lihu, are you finally showing some concern for the human race? What does it have to do with you? Elder Lihu shouted. The demon wolf laughed. Indeed, it's none of my business, but don't forget how your ancestors were abandoned by the humans. We've endured thousands of years of devastation, and Polar Storm was going to explode in another month, so it was hard to tell whether they could stop it or not. All of this was caused by humans, so who else could it be? Humans. The space between Elder Lihu's eyebrows tightened, and he couldn't say a single word. Indeed, all of this is human. As they were speaking, Long Fei was not overturned by the ancient elephant. Both of his hands tightly held onto the two thick tusks as his body continuously sank downwards, not giving the ancient elephant any chance to fly towards him. Suddenly, the veins on Long Fei's arm popped out, and his eyes turned sinister. Under his sleeve, the dragon-shaped mark on his arm flashed with a ray of light. Long Fei roared in anger. Ah! He used both of his hands to push the giant elephant up, lifted up in the air. The entire audience was stunned. Everyone was dumbfounded. Long Fei looked at the giant elephant that was raised up in the air and shouted, "Are you convinced? I refuse to accept this." The giant elephant let out a loud roar, and at this moment, hundreds of giant elephants in the surroundings charged out at the same time. Rumble. Long Fei had no way to retreat from the 100 giant elephants' assault. However, Long Fei's eyes turned sinister, the power in his body erupted, and he stomped his feet. Boom! A powerful shockwave was shot out. All the giant elephants were shocked and could not move at all. At the same time, Long Fei smashed the giant elephant in the air onto the ground and shouted again, "I'm just asking you, are you convinced or not?" Without waiting for the elephant to speak. However, the leader of the demonic wolf tribe said first, "I submit." The huge elephant elder also said, "I submit." At this moment, the system sounded out, causing Long Fei's heart to tremble. What's going on? Ding! Thank you for your support. Chapter 2064, Super Abnormal Inherent Skill. Chapter 2064, Super Abnormal Inherent Skill. The system sounded out, causing Long Fei's heart to tremble. Logically speaking, he hadn't killed anyone, killed monsters, or completed any missions. Why would a notification sound suddenly ring out? At this time, Long Fei's heart sank, and he started to listen carefully. The Goblin Wolf leader saw that Long Fei's expression suddenly sank, and he stood there without moving. His eyeballs slightly turned, as the corners of his mouth revealed a cold smile. At the same time, ding! Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining Giant Elephant's Courage * pervert level. Do you wish to fuse it? Ding! Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining Touch of the Underworld Fire. Do you wish to fuse it? Two voices rang out. Long Fei's heart trembled even more. What's the situation? Talent from the League of Heroes? Mighty Elephant and Underworld Fire? Damn it, abnormal level? How abnormal is it? Long Fei had a very good understanding of the two attributes, and his entire person was extremely excited. He quickly opened the system and checked. With the Giant Elephant's Courage, taking the initiative to attack, the passive defense would obtain an extremely strong shield with a value of 1,000,000 points. Under special circumstances, it would also increase. The shield lasted for 1 minute. F***CK. Does it have to be that abnormal? Long Fei was stunned. This was more than just abnormal. It was super abnormal. The giant elephant in the game was completely different. Compared to this abnormal level, the mighty elephant in the game was not even considered an ant. In the game, only when the giant diagram took the initiative to attack would it be activated, and when Long Fei obtained a giant elephant, whether it was when you hit others or others, it would instantly activate. $1 million shield. This, the heck, she wanted to die even if she saw it. Needless to say, beat him up. At the same time, Long Fei didn't have the slightest hesitation. The idea moved and said, "Fusion. I like this abnormal thing, huh?" The huge elephant fused into Long Fei's body, and then checked the attributes of the Underworld Fire Touch. Touch of the Underworld Fire. Your damage ability allows you to deal 30 seconds of continuous damage. Damage, 10,000 points per second. Looking at the attribute of the Underworld Fire Touch, Long Fei was so excited he was about to be speechless. 30 seconds. To deal 10,000 damage per second was equivalent to dealing 100,000 points' worth of damage. Moreover, ignoring your defense, ignoring your medicine, this was F*King defying the heavens. This was simply an explosion. Long Fei was in a bad mood. Could it be that he's too abnormal? A moment's carelessness could cause the opponent 100,000 points' worth of damage. Isn't that a little bad? Long Fei became evil. Mighty Elephant Courage and Touch of the Underworld Fire. Two great talents, Why did the system suddenly reward him with all this? Long Fei was not stupid. He immediately thought of what he had said about Gu Xiang Ancient and Elder Lai Hu submitting. Is this the reason for the reward? If that's the case, then... Long Fei looked at Goblin Wolf Leader, who had been speaking sincerely. His heart jolted. He's gone. Also at this moment, the void shook, and a huge, savage wolf broke through it. Beast transmogrification. Wolf King. His claws shone with a cold light. All of the hair on his body was like needles, reminding Long Fei that he was dozens of times stronger. He suddenly rushed out, looking extremely ferocious and shocking. Long Fei's heart trembled. The Wolf King furiously roared. "They surrender. Your father will not accept this. Kid, accept your death." It was as fast as lightning. Without giving Long Fei any time to react, his claws slashed down as though they were tearing through dry leaves, with unstoppable momentum. Gu Xiang Ancients and Elder Lai, whose expressions all darkened. The disciples of the monster wolf tribe revealed excited expressions. This sneak attack was a success rate of 100%, and they had never failed before. Moreover, after being transformed into a monster wolf, their strength had increased by many times. This was a one-hit kill, not giving Long Fei any chance. Crap, he's dead for sure. The demon wolves are too sinister. Haha, that is the reason why we are weak. Your elders and our leaders are simply not on the same level. You're too weak, huh? Humans tremble. The demonic wolf tribe became excited. When the Wolf King's claws slashed down, Long Fei stood there motionlessly. This time, he really did not want to move, because he didn't need to move now. Shwa! The claws were like the claws of a King Kong wolf. With a slash of the sharp blade, the void ruptured, landing on Long Fei's body. The Goblin Wolf Leader became excited. Die! He only saw. Long Fei smiled. The sharp claws descended, but Long Fei's body did not have the slightest injury. Even the claw marks didn't fall, much less Long Fei's life. At this moment, floating above his head was a shield worth 1,000,000 points, but the damage dealt by the demonic wolf's attack just now was indeed not small. It had reached over 100,000 damage. Without the protection of the giant elephant, half of Long Fei's life would have been gone. But I'm a freak. A shield worth 1,000,000 points was already impressive, but not even half a strand of hair could be injured. Needless to say, the strength of the demon wolves couldn't be underestimated. Seeing that there were no injuries on Long Fei's body, the demon wolf was completely dumbfounded. Long Fei smiled faintly and said, "What are you standing there for? Please continue." The surrounding people also had stupefied expressions.